Everybody on YouTube, what is going on? It's that time of night again where we are loading up. We are ready to go. And I'm telling you, we have an absolute full house here. Let me give you a little view of our group tonight. We have Steve, Jen, Jamie, and Kim from Longhorn Paranormal down in the beautiful state of Texas. And there he is, everyone, Merle. I know you've all been waiting for Merle. And there he is, the man, the myth, and the MERLE legend right there.
Boy.
There he is.
There
All right,
he is.
before we get too heavy duty into this, let's give the big rundown of everyone who is here. We have Race Fan in the gold medal position. James Horn takes home silver. Alaska's greatest athlete, the gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow is here. New to our chat room, Rashid Jurgens, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. And let's see. We have Jan Yannick, Jack Clark, the gorgeous Helena, Azrazal. How are you, my friend? Good to see you down in southeastern Illinois. The gorgeous and talented Laura Stevens is here. David Fortner has joined us. Welcome. Jason McDaniel, Bassmaster, and the lovely and talented Cosmic Fleur are here. SJ will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio, people. To the right of the studio. Scott Brown is here. He'll be signing autographs outside on the left. But Scott only signs in silver Sharpie, which means that you got to make sure that if you want his autograph, you got to have a silver Sharpie. John Hyers, how are you? Mental Pancakes, thank you for joining us. Ed Clater and Showtime, good to see you guys. Thank you so much. Sassy Sandra, the Michael Leger is here, everyone. The Michael Leger. And Paul John Tavares, good to see you. Hold on, let me turn off my ding-ding there. And who else? I'm missing someone. Damn it, I'm missing someone. I said Showtime and Ed, Sassy Sandra. All right, that's where I got confused. Okay, continuing on. Steve James in Australia, please let us know, since you live in the future, if we are alive tomorrow. We would appreciate an update. Thank you. Fabster, how are you? Brett Lewis is here, which means we can officially start the show. And Millennium, good to see you, my buddy. Ben from UFO Garage, nice to have you here, my friend. Good to have you back. Iron Dogger, thank you for coming on in. And let's see here. Steve Stockton from KPNL, thank you for joining us. Ozzy with a big MERLE in the chat room. There it is. Oria Mary, how are you? Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us. Richard Elmore and Adam Lane. Adam from New York, thank you for coming on in. Really appreciate that. Mondak, good to see you, my friend. There's MERLE in the chat room. The gorgeous Renee and the stunning Yola Tango are here. Luftaug, how are you, my friend? Sinister Vax, nice to have you back. $5,900, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Golden Lee A, thank you for taking the time. You're looking golden tonight. Oh, there he is from Austin, Texas. It is Uncle Dale and his power stash, which means if you're in Austin and you see Uncle Dale walking around, rub his mustache. You may just get 6 straight days of good luck. You got to find the mustache, though. Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got aliens, my friend, down in California. Dirt Road, where you been hiding? Good to have you back, Mr. Catfish. The lovely and talented Jennifer P., nice to see you. Jay Breezy, and the gorgeous Floridian Steph Dickey. Teeniest Squish, good to see you. Hi, Greg Moyes. How you doing? Big Rob, thanks for coming on in. Aiden, good to see you. CD Squatcher, nice to have you here. And I think we're almost caught up. All right. Mama Susan, how are you? Nice to see you. Okay, so if you look at our panel, you will see Jamie in the middle as the interpreter, because Jen, who is a veteran of the United States Army, is hearing impaired through her time with the U.S. Army, and we need the interpreter. So that's how Jen is going to communicate with you guys. She can speak, but she is here, and we're going to get some really cool answers tonight. We're going all things paranormal all night long, and we're going to have a great time. We are 45 seconds away from launching. Hi, Steve Edmonds. Sinister Vax, thank you so much for the amazing super chat and kicking the super chat off tonight. Wow. Really do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for your support of Spaced Out Radio. Little Marky Spender is here, everyone. Little Marky Spender. If Merle falls in the forest and no one is around, does he make a noise when he falls? We do not know.
No one will know.
We do not know the answer to that. Typical Watch, good to see you. And I think we're going to have a great time tonight. John Bolerman and Bombshell Bomber, thanks for coming on in. A great way to support this show if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button on our channel. The super chat is great, just like Sinister Vax. And, of course, ring that bell, hit that thumbs up. We're going to go live here in 5 seconds. Let's rock and roll, everyone. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a beautiful show for you tonight. Merle and special guests are here for Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle is an accomplished paranormal investigator out of Vancouver, British Columbia. He has investigated all over his province, along with areas in Washington State and Oregon. Merle's goals are to find critical answers into solving paranormal mysteries that have haunted people or places for decades, even centuries. Tonight, we are joined by a great crowd, a super crowd from Longhorn Paranormal here, way down there in Texas. Yes, yep. We have Jenn, and we have, let's see here. We have Steve. Mm-hmm. There he is. And we have interpreter Jamie. So the people on our radio side, you won't see this. You'll see it on YouTube. But Jamie is actually a sign language interpreter. So she is actually saying and signing everything that I'm saying over to Jenn, who lost her hearing while she was a veteran with the United States Army and part of Longhorn Paranormal, last but not least. And she's got great glasses on. We have Kim. So everyone, Merle, thank you for coming on in, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see how much eye contact you make in the camera tonight. That'll be cool.
Maybe. Good to see you, Dave. Nice to see you repping the maple leaf. Looks cute. And I like your new logo. It's strong. Your logo's strong.
Very strong. Actually, one of the gentlemen on Twitter who follows us, Sinister Dean, he has sent me a couple of really cool logos, and he just made that one up the other day, and I'm like, man, can I please use that? He's like, oh, of course. And I'm like, oh, that is just way too cool. Way too cool. So thank you for noticing that, Merle. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, we got one coming. It has it has 13 holes in it, just so you know. But that's for that. Yes. So for those of you who don't know, when Merle goes hunting, he always has to take extra bullets because he may miss once or twice or 13 times. So just so you know, Merle, I would love for you to introduce us to our new friends here down in Texas.
Well, here we have Longhorn Paranormal. I think we've been Instagram friends for well over a year now, liking each other's posts, sharing things with each other. I quite like what they do. I quite like their Instagram account. They're very active. They seem like they do things right. So it's about time we bring them on the show and have a chat with them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thanks for having us.
Dave, that was a lot of words too.
I know. Now, just so you guys know, Longhorn team, Merle has already gone over his limit of words for this half hour, so I will be doing most of the talking here. So I want to say thank you for coming on in and joining us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to have a lot of fun, and believe it or not, this is a real learning curve for me because I've never had an interpreter here on the show. And when Merle first mentioned it, I was like, what the heck is going on? So Jenn, if you don't mind telling our radio and our YouTube audience what happened, if you don't mind me asking, how you lost your hearing, because you were actually born with hearing.
So I was in the Army for six and a half years. And so I suffered what they referred to as a bilateral sensory neural hearing loss, which means that the hair follicles inside my ears are actually permanently damaged. They'll never grow back. So inside of the cochlea of the ear, and I'm not an audiologist, but the way it works is you have little hairs, and then you also have bones. So there's different types of hair loss. But mine actually refers to a loss of the hair, and it's from a sudden impact of noise exposure. And it actually is a degenerative hearing loss, so it's only going to get worse. So I have what they refer to, people talk about percentages, but I have a 90 decibel loss in the right ear and 115 in the left ear, which means over basically the sound of like a jackhammer, I really can't hear anything.
Wow. Now
she can hear bullets and she can hear Merle falling in the forest.
That's impressive.
Thank you, Kim.
Can hear that.
Now, what did you do in the Army that caused your hearing to dissipate?
So I don't like to I've got some PTSD and stuff, so I don't talk about the places I've been, but I was in the Army Corps of Engineers. I initially went to my boot camp out of Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and joined what they referred to as 12 November. I was a horizontal construction engineer. And I was restationed with 317th Engineer Company, 387th Engineer Company. So I was in a constant noise exposure environment all the time. And so between that and the different jobs that I filled, the constant just barrage of noise. And then there was also a 3M lawsuit. So we found out between approximately, and I don't know the exact dates, between 2004 and about 2013, give or take, 3M was issuing and making the hearing protection for the U.S. military. And what they actually did was they bought cheap parts from other countries knowingly, and were issuing it out to us. They were giving us bad hearing protection. So they were actually sued. I believe it was for like $9 million is all the government went after them for. And they basically divvied that up amongst veterans and said, good luck. So a lot of us are coming out now at this younger age with significant hearing damage.
Well, thank you for your time in the service. Really do appreciate that. We love our veterans around here, and to have you on the show, that's just fantastic. So thank you so much. Now let's start with Longhorn Paranormal, Jenn, because this is your team. You started this. How did this get going?
So back when I was about 15, I went out for the first time to do a ghost hunt. I'm pushing almost 33 now. And a buddy of mine, Doug Colgrove from Chicago, we're all originally actually from the same town of Rockford, Illinois, up there in the north. And we're all grown, a couple generations apart. But so I went out with a friend of mine, Doug Colgrove. He called me on a Friday night and he said, hey, let's go out and go to this haunted place. And I kind of did that teenage thing, and I snuck into a place called Manteno State Hospital and had an experience there. I'll talk more about tonight if you want, where I actually came face to face with a full body apparition at 15. Saw it on my camera. I dropped the camera. I ran out of the place. Oh, there's my mom.
Hi, Mom.
So my mom's probably laughing at this right now, but because she knows this story. And so something actually followed me home, and I started to have these issues at my house, very dark energy. I actually had to leave my house and go to my grandmother's for a week. And they had to bring in a priest to bless the house. And so when the priest came in, he was blessing the house. He sprayed holy water everywhere, and a light bulb exploded. And I guess it was the iguana light or something, but like all this craziness. And I'm like 15 and I'm like, I shouldn't have been doing any of this to begin with. And so I realized very quickly that paranormal was real. And I lost my Canon camera. This thing followed me home. My mom said that was punishment enough. And I wasn't grounded. And so Chicagoland Paranormal Foundation was born at 15. I got with my friend, 16. I got with my friend. I says, dude, we got to create something here, you know? And this is almost 20 years ago. And so we started Chicagoland Paranormal Foundation. And I kind of remained in the paranormal community. I went off to the military. I continued to study the paranormal, do all that stuff. And then when I got out of the military, I didn't have a lot going for me. I really struggled to find people that would hire me for a job. You know, unfortunately, when you have a hearing disability, as some people refer to it as, I don't look at it as a disability really, but employers are not quick to hire you. And so I got this novel idea one day. I said, you know, I'm going to take Chicagoland Paranormal Foundation and I'm going to rebirth it. And I'm going to create Longhorn Paranormal. And so I went to a couple of my friends, and I knew I had this idea to take this brand global. I was kind of looking around at, you know, some of these paranormal shows that are out there, and I really wanted to do something that was different, something fresh. And so I went to Kim, who's got a background in marketing, and Steven, who's got a background in newspaper and on-air personalities and stuff like that. And I said, guys, you guys have skills that I don't have, and vice versa. I can teach you a lot about the ghost hunting. Would you guys be willing to join the team with me? I think the three of us could really create something amazing here. And they jumped on board. Kim's my best friend in the whole wide world. And from that moment, Longhorn Paranormal is born, and we're at a 19,000% growth a month.
Wow. So, Kim, how did you get involved with this team?
You know what? I got involved because I'm Jenn's best friend. My dad had died. She drove me on a road trip to get my mind off our dad's passing. Steve's actually my brother.
Yes.
And so she drove me to this wonderful world called Jerome, Arizona. And we walk into the lobby of the Jerome Grand Hotel, and the vibe I got from all the spirits and energies in that building, I said, we're staying here tonight. We didn't have a toothbrush, clothes, nothing. It was just like a road trip for the day. It's a 3-hour drive. We stayed up all night and with no equipment other than the Ovilus app on a phone. Amazing conversations we had with spirits. Like, no question that they were intelligent conversations and intelligent beings. And that was my first intro into it. And it didn't scare me. It excited me. I was like a little kid. John's like, stop touching stuff. Because I'm like opening every drawer and door and everything. It was fantastic. And from then on, I was hooked. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. We're doing this.
Kim, you got to look at that comment. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's gold.
Even to your best friend to drink. You don't want a hotel. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. And now that's like our home away from home. So
Excellent.
We go back there often.
And Jenn had helped me move from Chicago to Arizona to help take care of my mom. And after getting here, it was less than a month later, a couple of weeks later, they quarantined everything in the country. And it was like, okay, great. Now what are we going to do? So, of course,
he's with his sister and her friend. Poor guy.
And
he's
so
single.
Everyone's watching, all the, Netflix, Amazon, whatever channel you can get a hold of, and watching every single episode of every single show. And literally you're sitting here going, dear Lord, we can do something better. And they'd gone on this trip up there just to get out of the house. We'll give them 5 minutes. We're going to go for a road trip. We'll be back, later this afternoon. Then, of course, text me, hey, we're staying in the hotel tonight. I'm like, yeah, we know we don't have any toothbrush or any clothes or anything. We'll manage. Come back, and they're like, you know what? We need to do a ghost show. It's like we watch the stuff, and we sit there and look at everything of what everyone's doing and go, we can do that better. And The only ones that can, if we want better content, we need to go out there and create it ourselves. We need to make it.
So the one thing we kind of noticed was a lot of the ghost shows that are out there, they're kind of the same, right? There's nothing wrong with them, but we wanted to do something unique, bring kind of a fresh perspective. And so we started with, my couple cases of gear I had from my foundation back in the day, and we kind of reimagined this, and we said we need a trailer, we need equipment, right? And we built our own idea of a nerve center on steroids, right? So if you think kind of like an FBI van, with like the TVs mounted on the wall kind of scenario, we really wanted to get into the one thing we noticed is all these shows, they do the ghost hunt, but not a lot of them spend a lot of time on the history and the science, right? And that was the one thing we kind of felt was lacking, and we wanted to kind of pick up the slack on. And so I've got a big passion for history. Steve's got a big passion for history and science. And so we wanted to bring all those pieces together and kind of fill the other end of the puzzle that we felt was like missing a little bit. So we literally kind of hit the stove and we thought, okay, what can we do? How can we bring this to life? And over the last couple years now, we have taken what was a couple cases of gear. We've turned it into 62 cases of gear, nearly $60,000 in ghost hunting equipment, and a nerve center on wheels in a trailer where we've got flat screens mounted all over the walls. We're mounting remote cameras in places, and we're bringing a lot of science. We're coming to these places. They're going, we expected a handheld camera, not a giant nerve center with monitors. And we've got interns working for us who are sitting there monitoring these cameras, and we're inside, and we're doing all these different things to kind of bring some validation to the stories that other people have had.
Well, I'm not going to brag to you about my K2 meter then.
No, I thought 10 cases was annoying to lug around.
Now, I would like to add there's something we have that's very special in our nerve center that probably no one else has. We have air conditioning and heat.
That's pretty good.
You're in Texas. What do you need heat for?
In the mountains.
Ambushing the ghost military style. I like that. I do, man.
Yeah, that was funny.
We get people that will that'll watch some of our stuff, and our older stuff. I tell people our older stuff's horrible. Just don't even watch it. When we were first trying to figure out how to start editing, Steve and I had no formal editing background, right? And so like building an episode, it was something we kind of grown on. You watch our very first episode and you watch the stuff we're putting out now, and you're like, are these even the same people? But it's funny because people watch our stuff and they'll be like, is there anything you're scared of? Like you just run in there, like gung ho, and I'm like, I'm terrified of clowns.
So Clown Motel, here we come.
Yes.
Merle, jump in. You're allowed to speak this half hour.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you for permitting me to speak. I will comment on the Clown Hotel and how that is a place I would like to go to as well. I'm a little gear envious of your 62 cases versus my 10 cases. But I want to rewind back to you, Jen, and your story of your attachment when you first started. I've been thinking about that since you mentioned it. Walk me through what happened and where were you and what did that apparition look like?
So I feel like I need to go a little farther back. So I'm going to kind of just give a brief synopsis. I grew up in foster care. I lived in 35 different foster homes in 17 years. So I moved in with my adopted parents. And my mom had told me about some things paranormal related, and I had had some experiences. And so I went and I got started getting into the ghost hunting a little bit. As a teenager, didn't quite know what it was going to look like. So I went and got myself some equipment. I went and got a Canon camera. I had an old flip door Canon camera. I had a couple, just cheap Sony voice recorders, nothing crazy, right? I had two of those, like $10, $20 hardware store silver cases. And so I went in. So Manteno State Hospital was built in the 1900s. It's 40 plus building, sprawling facility just south of Chicago. giant H-shaped mental health facility. And so I went into one of the wings of the building. And as I walked in, I looked off to the left, looked off to the right, and I noticed there was a corridor. It kind of looked like what I would now refer to as a ward. And so I decided to go towards the hallway. And I found a bathroom, which I later found out was referred to as Jenny's bathroom. So there was writing all over the walls, and there were 4 tubs that they used for different therapies. And so as I kind of went through, I found the padded room, all that stuff, and I made a turnaround to go back towards the ward. And as soon as I did, in my camera, I'm looking at the flip door, and I look and I see something. And I look up and I don't see it. And I look down again, and there is a figure right here in my camera. Literally, just matter of feet. And I'm looking up, I'm looking down, I'm looking up, I'm looking down. And it happened just that fast. And so it was this white shadowy figure, and there was nothing to it, really. It was just kind of this outline of a figure. And it was very, very clear, right? Had eyes, had the facial features, but it was very faint. And then kind of like a white gownish look. And that was it. That's all there was to it. There was no defined arms or physical characteristics, but definitely a grade A apparition. And I dropped the camera. I screamed. I ran out the door. I went to the car. My buddy comes running out and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Dude, let's get out of here." Right? I'm like, "Let's just go." And so I peeled out of there. I drove straight home, didn't say a word. I went home, didn't tell my mom a thing. She's like, "How did it go?" I'm like, "I don't want to talk about it." Like, great, fine. I lost my equipment. Life goes on. And I went down to my room. So my mom, because I grew up in foster care, my mom gave me, wanted to get my mom and dad wanted to get a nice little house that had like a basement kind of apartment space for me to have something nice for once in my life. So down there, I kind of had like a kitchenette set up and my bedroom and all that stuff, and like a big rec room. And so I went down into my room, and I would say over the next 18 hours, the energy just in the house began to change. And I would almost compare it now to almost a mild partial possession. I literally began to feel angry and depressed. I was hitting myself in the head. I was getting physically violent towards myself. The energy over about 3 days got so bad. I was literally on the couch, my mom said, and I was like screaming, and it was like, I could just feel the evil in my house and I brought it home with me. And so they removed me from the house. They brought in a priest who came in, did a blessing on the house, said there was definitely something there. But it was a good, I think it was good 4 or 5 days, if I remember correctly, that I was just in a really dark place. And it's an experience I will never, ever forget. And I tell people all the time, if Netflix called me tomorrow and said, "We'll pay you $1 million to do a one-night special at Manteno State Hospital," I would tell them no.
Wow.
No way.
And as Jen's sitting in the nerve center, I'm cashing that check. Going inside.
Hold my beer.
$1 million, I'm doing it. I'm not gonna lie. I am so in on $1 million right there.
100%.
I would do it.
Yes. All right. We're gonna cut Jen out. We'll maybe get her a steak or something. You know.
You guys can have my share. If everybody else can do me a favor and buy some merch on our website to help me out.
Well, you do have a cool logo, so that is kind of cool. Longhorn Paranormal, Merle, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. A very fast first half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We are talking paranormal here on Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers. He shakes his head, but inside, deep down, he knows he loves it. And we are joined by Longhorn Paranormal. We have Jen and Steve, Kim, and interpreter Jamie with us tonight. This is a great show. You want to check it on out. You want to tune on in because we're getting into some ghost stories next on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned.
All right, everyone get their coffee.
We got a 5-minute break.
All right. That's a good first half hour. Good
Awesome.
solid first
Long
half hour.
Yeah.
Very strong. Oh, we
Yeah,
made-
Merle, you're
Everything
usually
good?
talking to me on Instagram. So that's me who has the conversations usually.
Okay.
Mm.
What do we got? 5
Today it
minutes?
was Jen.
We have 5 minutes.
All
All
right.
right.
1 second.
Because you guys are always at the top of our Instagram feed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
I log in and yes, you guys, whatever photo it is or anything, you're always at the top. You or Angela Unwin with her awesome photos. Between the two of you, you're always at the top.
We try to stay very active on. I find
Yeah, you're
Instagram
really good.
there's a lot more tread you get there from Facebook. I think Facebook's kind of
I think
getting
Facebook's
phased
going
out.
away. Yeah.
And then we
Oh.
I just started I have like my own TikTok account, like my personal one, but I just hatched one for the Paranormal Road Trippers the other day too.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
On the
Jen does our
TikTok, Jen.
TikTok.
Yeah.
She's addicted.
Yes, me. I'm addicted to watching it.
Mhm.
I've wasted too much time watching that. But
Yeah, I'm more of a Instagram girl.
So Merle,
yeah, do you like the new webcam?
yes, you look like you need some powder there to cover up your red spots.
I know.
See sunburn.
Yeah.
You
Work.
need
Being a
some
makeup artist.
Need some
I do.
foundation.
Yep.
So, little Marky Spender, who's tuning on in while he's wearing his boxer briefs only on his chair, eating a bag of Cheetos and wiping his fingers on his stomach. Anyways, I know I shouldn't paint that picture, but it is terrible. He brought up a good point tonight, which is on Sunday when we went out to Flight 21, when my ATV broke down. My ATV, I started and stopped perfectly previous to that. It broke down right at the crash site where the battery was just completely drained and not holding any power whatsoever. I didn't even think about it up until, all of a sudden, Mark brought it up here about 10 minutes ago. And he's like, I've been thinking, and I'm just wondering if we got our battery drained over that. Because it only hit my machine, not Mark's. It's weird.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I don't know whether I just had a bad battery or whether something happened. I'm leaning towards the bad battery.
Operator error.
Yeah, probably. But let's say hello to Contour Cosmique, otherwise known as Bonjour Julien. Comment ça va?
Je m'appelle.
Yes. D. McKenna, welcome to the show. Travis DeLuca asking why there is an interpreter here tonight. And that's because Jenn, who is wearing the ball cap there, she is hearing impaired. And so she can speak, but her hearing is gone due to her time in the United States Army. And so Jamie is interpreting for her. So that way we can get our questions and answers over to Jenn, which is kind of cool. Magnus, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. I'll show you the gnome here.
Fun stuff he's got over there.
Here's the gnome. This was actually created by the Michael Leger in the chat room. The Michael Leger. And so we have the SOR here. We have the old school microphone here. And I love this. And it's all one piece. Like, I don't know how he did that all in one piece, but he did. So creative. So this gnome has a special spot beside my Carl candles, which is nice. Yes. If anybody wants to join Merle's Instagram, because he's an Instagrammer, it is the Paranormal Road Trippers.
Awesome content.
DM, who is a big fan of the Red Deer Rebels, is here tonight. There she is. She's still loving the days when Dion Phaneuf was patrolling the blue line of the Red Deer Rebels way back in the day. Yeah, bet you didn't expect that, DM. I know. Who else is here?
My mom is here. That's who else is here.
Yes, Anita. Mom Anita. How are you? All right, we have 20 seconds left. I want to say a big thank you to Sinister, to Catfish, Jason, Ben, Fapster, Mondak, and Magnus for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. It's a great way to support what we do. Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. I'm hanging out here in Canada. Where are you on this beautiful planet we call Earth? Please let us know if you're in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. We want to remind you that all of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Ghosts of the Great White North. We have Merle here from the Paranormal Road Trippers. He is my co-host and my good friend sometimes when we are on this show. Now, Merle and I talk every day. We're in good hands here. We're in good hands. And all the way from Texas, the Lone Star State, we have Longhorn Paranormal. We have Kim. We have Jen. We have Steve and interpreter Jamie. Now, if you're listening on the radio side, you're not going to see this, but on our video side, Jamie is interpreting for Jen. And because Jen is hearing impaired, and this way she is able to actually see what we are talking about, which is kind of cool, by the way. Yeah.
And you missed the goofy faces.
Yes, and the goofy faces.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some ghost stories. And Steve, let's start with you here on this one, if you don't mind, because I'm curious. If you go back throughout your history of investigating the paranormal, is there about a story or two that really sticks out for you that you just cannot shake off?
It's actually real close to where we are. It's in a local mountain that has some area stories with it that we investigated on our first season. And it's still got me to this day because we've gone back to film for sponsors and stuff like that. We were filming a shoot for our sponsor, and like you were saying during the break, we actually had truck just cut out, complete power loss. And a couple seconds later, turns right back on like nothing's wrong. And it's like, what the heck is that? Car's tuned, it's all fine, nothing. And then while we were filming there, actually with a drone, we're about, 100 feet up, 200 feet up?
Good 300 feet in the air with the drone.
And I'm spotting the drone. Jenn is piloting it. And we're getting ready to do some shoots. So we're just kind of getting the drone into position. And literally, I'm looking at the drone and looking with Jenn kind of where she's seeing. And literally, it looks like a hand grabs the drone. And then I'm watching the drone in the air move about 10 feet over. And there's really no wind to like push it because it's not really blowing.
So I saw a hand, like a black shadow, almost looked like a hand come across my screen, like something had covered the lens of the drone, the camera of the drone. And at this exact moment I went, holy, Steve goes, whoa. And so he's looking at the sky. I'm looking at the screen. And it was just like at the same exact moment. Drone
went flying about 10 feet in the other direction and then like kind of recovered to try and get back to itself. And, obviously Jenn's, had it sitting still, didn't have her fingers on the controls. And it's like, what the heck was that?
And we're not talking a cheap $100 drone here. We're talking DJI couple, about $1,000 drone to $1,200 drone. I mean, these things are real state of the art. They've got gyroscopes in them that keep them perfectly level. They've got, all these different film and cinematography settings that, we actually reached out to DJI, like, is there any way this is possible? They said, no way.
No kidding. Wow.
I have a drone story for you, a haunted drone story. I was doing droning at a historic graveyard out here. This was a couple of months ago, and I have a DJI drone as well. Nice, really expensive drone. I get very excitable when it is not communicating proper with my control because I don't want it to break. And it wouldn't launch. It was the motor was trying to go, and then it lost communication with my phone and the drone. And then all of a sudden we heard the bush beside us kind of move around, and the tell of this graveyard is that it's super haunted with some negative entities, and that's what we were trying to capture. I was actually with Bill Hauser, Dave, you know who.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it looked like something kicked my drone. It was on the ground. I wasn't even touching the control, and something kicked it, and then when it turned over, the engine or the rotors started to go. And needless to say, I need to replace my rotors.
Yeah.
Sucked.
We did have a filming in a jail and just hovering in a hallway. Had the drone get knocked down. Now, your DJI, does two of the arms fold underneath when you put it away?
I have the full size one. I don't have the you have a Mavic?
Yeah, the Maverick Mini.
Okay, I have the Phantom.
Yeah. It had literally closed the legs. Now, if you have one of those, it's really, it's not like something can fall and the arms will fold in. No, because it kind of goes in the opposite direction of where it would, purposely try to fold it in. So somehow it crashed and then had the arms fold in.
So we have the minis for inside places that we can't physically get to, or so for example, what he's talking about, the Gila County Jail, we were flying it through a corridor because they say a lot of activity happens when no one's in the room. So we thought, well, let's go downstairs, 3-floor jail. We'll send just the drone in, and I'll actually fly it from the main floor. And so I literally so you think about it, a jail. From the 1900s, you figure the stairwell's maybe 2.5, 3 feet wide at most. I fly it up an entire flight of stairs. I make a U-turn. I go into the cell block, and the drone is just sitting there stationary. And then all of a sudden, something hits it. It bounces off the wall. Two of the arms fold underneath, and it hits the ground.
Yeah, and now we, and sadly, learning how to operate the drone, we've crashed them a couple of times, really close. Oh, look, we can get real close to tree. Oh, not that close.
Drone crash stories stress me out.
Like, all right, yeah, in the worst case scenario, you have to replace a couple of blades, but legs never fold in back, even when you've crashed it, into a tree.
Yeah.
So having it do that, that's really weird. And back to the mountain, it's renowned for a black mist. And
Steve James, that's funny.
The black mist is to where we were filming, and literally with flashlights you could see
the black mist.
And literally, like, your flashlight goes about 150 feet, right? So looking left of the road, you could see 150 feet. Looking right, you could see 150 feet. Pointing straight down the road, you could see about 10 feet. And then the light would just stop. And then on a secondary camera, literally you could see a black line coming from where my light stopped, coming back to the flashlight as I'm holding it.
Yeah, I saw the black mist. That was crazy. And that was our first episode. So it may have been like the worst creative thing that we've made. But as far as things happening and seeing things, wow. I heard footsteps. They saw lights flashing behind me. I saw the black mist go between me and this about 20-foot tree that we had lights and cameras on. and the mist went past it once, and for me, it just kept going back and forth. When they came up back to the nerve center where I was, this is when we had an outdoor nerve center, and the camera had stopped recording after the first pass of the mist.
And what's really interesting about the area, so the Casa Grande Mountain it's notorious for this black mist, but there was actually there was an entire Native American population that just disappeared. So this kind of sits on some of those native energy lines that they talk about between the Southwest, in the Southwest region, between the Native American tribal lands. And so they had a Native American tribal nation referred to as the Hohokam Indians that just up and disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them.
10,000 years ago?
10,000, yeah, they just disappeared. And so many people have experienced stuff out here at the mountain. Or there are tons of stories. We actually called we try to work with law enforcement a lot. You know, when we're doing these film shoots, we'll call and let the sheriff know, or, you know, get them to come out and spend the night with us. And it was, you know, there's some really, really just strange stories there. The sheriff actually said, no way. We're like, will you guys come out and just sit out here tonight, because, you know, there's a lot of cartels that move through this area and stuff. And they said, there's no way. Like,
really?
They could not find a deputy willing to spend the night out there.
Now, this brings up a good question, because for many of us, I've never been to Texas outside of catching a flight out of Houston, you know, Vancouver to Houston, and then Houston out east. You know, that's about the extent that I've been to Texas. But Texas is a very large state. It has a very violent past. It has a lot of death. It has a lot of sadness, especially on the southern border. And, you know, if you go on the East Coast, it has a lot of hurricanes and strangeness there. You go up north towards New Orleans, you have a lot of paranormal and cryptic voodoo, hoodoo type of atmosphere. So when you look at the state of Texas, as large as it is, I mean, how do you try and, you know, just focus your own team on trying to figure out what is going on in the paranormal?
So in Texas, there's a couple things. One, you've got a lot of very historically haunted places in Texas that, so you've got considered to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in Texas is Martha's Chapel. It's so haunted, Google Maps caught full body apparitions, right? Wow. You go on Google Maps, look up Martha's Chapel. They have caught it of a little boy as well as a black shadow figure. Looks very malevolent, standing back in this graveyard. And then you've got things like Yorktown Memorial Hospital. But certainly, I feel like the larger amount of the paranormal activity that happens in Texas certainly happens more in the south region towards Laredo, and the east region around Houston, South Corpus Christi area. And certainly people have experiences all over, but a lot of the calls that we get, because we also do serve private clients, we're not just out there making TV, but, you know, a lot of the calls we get for private clients are on that east end of Texas. But I will tell you that a lot of the experiences that we have had have been on that east half of the state. And the other piece that is, once you get out past west of San Antonio, Texas gets extremely desolate, right? I mean, you could go 200 miles down the I-10 and only see 2 gas stations. So there's not a lot out there. And so a lot of people that are experiencing this stuff are kind of in this line from Dallas straight down to San Antonio, Laredo, and east. So I know, like, specifically for us, we have filmed the Galveston Naval Museum. We've served a private client just north of Houston. We did Martha's Chapel in Huntsville. We're going to be filming in New Orleans soon. So I feel like a lot of that is centered there.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Merle, come on in.
Well, thanks, Dave. Where would be a no-go area for you guys in Texas? Paranormal wise, like, what's your kryptonite? What won't you touch?
Oh, what won't we touch?
I don't know that I would go to the killing fields. And I don't know if it's so much from a paranormal standpoint as much as it is from a murder standpoint. So the Killing Fields is an area south of Houston where a lot of women have been found murdered over the last 30 years. And I don't know if it's a cross between what would be a mass murder, like, Criminal Minds kind of thing waiting to happen. But there's something about like that area between, I would say, between Corpus Christi and Galveston. It just, something about that area bothers me. I don't know. I mean, I go all over Texas but I don't like going south of Houston. I mean, I'll go down to like, Mustang Island and things like that, but there's just, it's a weird vibe.
Different.
Yeah,
definitely.
And Dave, New Orleans is east of Texas. Don't insult the Americans.
If you were in the south part of Texas, New Orleans is north of it. Northeast.
Yeah.
So I'm right.
Yes. So
we are right.
Thank you. Thank you.
New Orleans is directly east of Houston on the I-10. So
it's directly what?
Directly east of Houston on the I-10. So south of Houston, you have Corpus Christi, and then it goes down towards McMillan. Is that correct, Jamie? McMillan? I think it's McMillan. Is that those farther towns? And then you got Brownville. So those are all your border areas, South Padre Island. So Texas goes south of Houston for about another 200 miles.
Yeah. So I'm right. There you go. Boom.
Boom.
We. I'm just gonna tap myself on the shoulder there.
Me too.
But knowing that you have this incredibly haunted state that you live in, and Texas being very proud, what is the attitude of the paranormal in the state of Texas? Are people very much for it? Are there a lot of groups that are in competition there? Because I know up here in British Columbia, it seems to be getting quite congested. And, if you go on the East Coast, it seems like everywhere you turn, there's a paranormal team. So how about for Texas?
So just like everywhere, I mean, there's, I would say a couple thousand paranormal teams in Texas, quote unquote. But I look at it kind of like this. And you guys will know what I'm saying, and not to discredit anybody, but there certainly are those kind of cardboard box paranormal teams. I refer to them as cardboard box or pop-up. I feel like if you were to really break it down to the serious teams, longevity teams, there's, a couple hundred across the state, but you're talking about a state that is, 16 hours across, 12 hours north to south, maybe 14. I mean, you're talking 860, 880 miles wide, right? You're talking 2 or 3 states normally. So it's not unreasonable, actually. And so there's so much historical in Texas that they actually have these historical landmarks spread out across the state and with signs, and they're all labeled. And I think the last count, there were like 1,800 historical landmarks. And then you have things like the Spanish Indian Wars and the Alamo and the atypical stuff of the settlers moving west. So the miners, and so there's a lot of history of death and a lot of history of destruction across the state of Texas for sure, and more specifically the South half. And then you're talking about the whole idea of the fact that the state is a natural disaster waiting to happen, right? You've got hurricanes, Tornado Alley. Galveston, it not only is just known for, the naval museums and topless Jeep weekend, as they refer to it, but a lot of death. The island of Galveston actually served as a quarantine site back in the 1930s, 1940s. It was a quarantine island, right? And so people actually came to the United States and died there. So there is just so much activity. And so I feel like, the couple, I would say the couple hundred across the state hardcore teams they stay busy. They stay busy, and a lot of them, they follow us, and they, we see the kind of stuff they're up to, and and I know we've had several that have reached out to us and said, "Hey, we've got this private client that we're just not capable of serving." So,
the reason why I asked that is because in order to make yourself stand out and be unique, as we got about 4 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour, you have to do something different. There's all these cookie cutter ghost hunting teams out there, these weekend warriors, like I like to call them, who are out there more for their own entertainment purposes than actually trying to solve any of the mysteries out there. So how do you guys step aside from what everyone else is doing to make sure that you're doing something different? Because you can have all the technical gear, you can claim that you're doing scientific investigation, but what are you actually doing different than other teams?
We do a lot of legwork ahead of time to where we try to get as accurate of facts we can, researching newspapers, stories, anything we can get our hands on. We try to have interviews of people that know the history better than we do, that have actually experienced paranormal events at stuff, and try to get those interviews of other people, and I guess bring a little bit more realism and actual facts and history behind each site than, oh, I'm feeling cold. Well, let me get a thermometer out and actually test how the temperature changes in this room.
So
explain that.
When on one of our latest private client cases that we worked, when we sat down post-investigation with the client, we had nearly 10 pages of documentation that we reviewed. So when we do this, when we begin an investigation, right, sure, we bring all the fun toys, but we really dig in. I get with the historical societies, the county, the state, right? I'm pulling historical documents, property lines. I want to know everything there is to know about a property before I investigate it, because I'm not doing the client any justice if I don't do my homework. Right. And so when we sit down with a finalized investigation for a client, not only do we have, the evidence that we've collected, but we're sending it off to India, to our audio tech guys, to Dallas, to our other audio tech guys, so we have people that are reviewing what we're reviewing to double verify. And then we sit down with all of this stuff that we're doing. And this one particular latest client we worked, we had almost 10 pages worth of things that we sat down to review with them. And we went over each step of what we did with them from start to finish, from the moment they picked up the phone and said, "Hi, Longhorn Paranormal, can you come to our house?" to the moment we said, "Okay, investigation's done." And they got to see the whole picture. And then we gave them on disc all the data. We gave them all the notes. So we're doing an entire thorough process here. I kind of equate it to basically surgery, right? Where we're signing the hand that we're going to cut open. I mean, because that's how much we want to get into the detail and make sure we, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Okay, so in the end, as we got about a minute to go here, what is the ultimate goal for you in collecting all of this information? Because the one argument that I have with a lot of paranormal teams, and I'm not trying to be rude, is that they never seem to have a common goal on what they're trying to solve.
So our whole tagline is haunted or hoax. What I look at each situation differently, whether it's something we're filming for entertainment value or a private client. I want to look at each location, and I want to determine whether there is a scientific reason for what is occurring, or if there's truly a true paranormal phenomena that is occurring. Is it haunted or is it a hoax, right? Mm-hmm. And so for us, our end goal is that. When someone picks up the phone and says, "I need your help," I'm looking at it this way. When I walk away from this, is this place truly going to be haunted? And is there something we can do to help this person? Do they want our help, right? Because, they might say, "You know what, my home is haunted and whatever, I'll deal with it," right? But I want to look at the case and say, are we dealing with something malevolent? Does it need to go? Are we dealing with something residual? And if we are, is it comfortable being there? Is it intelligent, right? I'm looking at the types of hauntings, and I'm looking at the situation. I'm looking at the property owner, the client, whomever, and I'm trying to find some common ground.
All right. Lone Star Paranormal, Jen, Steve, Kim, Jamie, Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers. We'll get him to talk in hour 2.
I'm allowed.
Exactly.
Thanks, Dave.
We're going to get into more Ghosts of the Great White North when we continue after this.
Ah.
All right. Good job, guys. Good job.
I had to think about that for a minute, man.
Yes. I'll be honest with you. As Merle knows, I'm very proud to be a prick to paranormal teams.
I was waiting. I heard Dave's lead-in line, and I'm like, here we go.
Yes. I am an absolute prick to paranormal teams, most of them. But I'll be right back. You guys chat away. You got the the YouTube audience there. You can chat with them, and then in hour 2 we'll take questions from the audience.
All right.
Cool.
I will be back too in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I can hear Luke playing with the squeaker toy in the background, Jen and Steve.
What's up, everybody? I'm going to grab some more coffee.
Right,
Kim, say hi to the commenters on the right. Say hi.
Hi, guys. Wait, I can't see them. I can only see when they pop up.
Say hi, Steve.
All right. Say hi, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how to see the commenters.
If you look up private chat up on the top,
Yeah.
just below sign in for free, click on the comments, and you should have a whole slew of comments.
Ah, there we go. I was just seeing them pop up.
Why? Vinny Bart.
Oh, Michael Lager, thank you. He's giving me.
God.
Hey, Barbarino. I love that.
I got to get my glasses to read the comments.
I have my trifocals on. So
Yeah, that's the only way I can read these things. I only look I look double my age with the glasses, so.
that's funny. Yeah, I look younger with glasses. All right. Hello, Lord of Land.
Hello, guys. This has been fun.
This is really fun.
It's a good show.
It is a really good show.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that
a hard
Jen
time.
could knock this Dave Scott show off her bucket list.
How long has it been on our bucket list for?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a fun show. It's a good show.
She was pretty excited. And I was excited that you're going to be on here since we've talked so much on Instagram.
Yeah. We can't wait for the borders to open. We have
I know.
doing.
And I've never been to Vancouver. So I'm like, I'd love to go to Vancouver Island. It makes me think of the ring. Like,
We had a big trip planned in 2020 to go down to Virginia City and all of that, but nope. COVID had to ruin everyone's life.
yes.
So
Thanks, Benny.
Yes, it's fun. I was gonna say it's got to be fun trying to pick out new places and like
Is it too dry where you are? Am I licking my lips a lot? I'm actually in Arizona, and my mother-in-law's right now. And yeah, the humidity is about like 20%.
Wow, it's humid up there. It's about
Do we
10
have
here.
any? Oh, I just missed something. Well, we're getting comments really fast.
Yep. Yeah, you got to pay attention to these.
Like, whoa.
How much time we have left on the break?
I think a minute or minute and a half.
Minute and a half. All right, I'll be back 1 sec.
Parksville, Vancouver Island. Oh yeah, that sounds cool.
Parksville's nice.
How we doing, Mike?
We're doing great. How are you? Happy to be here?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Good. Where do you want to take it next hour? I have a question for you at the top of the hour.
Okay.
Uh-oh, here he is.
Oh, he's back.
Are you guys having fun?
Just ask
Heck
him that,
yeah.
Dave.
I'm having a blast, Dave.
Good.
Dave, I see you're drinking water.
I am drinking water.
So I got a good treat. Pineapple flavored bubbly. It's pretty good.
I drink a lot of coffee, and this is my favorite mug. Normal people scare me.
That's a good mug.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my Red Bull.
Is that number 2?
It might be the third one for the day.
Oh, that's impressive.
Oh, I can drink 5 and go right to sleep. My caffeine tolerance is really high.
It is when you're a ghost hunter. Has to be.
Yeah, when you got to stay up for 2 days straight. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we got about 1 minute here, guys. 1 minute.
Sorry. Dave, I'm going to ask little Marky Spender's question at the top of the hour.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'm back.
We got our intern over here making coffee and water.
Excellent.
Good. Well, I'll take a beer.
I wish I had an intern.
All right. Want to say a big thank you to Sinister, to Catfish, to Jason, Ben from UFO Garage, Fapster, Mondak, Magnus, and Jeremy for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support you guys have for Spaced Out Radio. And a big thank you to all of our new subscribers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're brand new listening for the first time. We would really appreciate it. And I want to say a big thank you to all of the rest of the great people in our chat room on an each nightly basis here, our wrenches, and of course, to all the veterans out there who tune us on a nightly basis. We love you, and thank you for everything that you have done. We're going to kick off the second hour of the show right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone tuning in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We have Naganapot. Naganapot is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Ghosts of the Great White North. We are joined from the Paranormal Road Trippers. We have Merle. Yes, Merle is back. You may have heard him in the first half hour of the show. Hasn't spoken since, but that's okay. That's what he does here on Spaced Out Radio. And from Texas, we have Longhorn Paranormal. We have Jenn and Steve, and we have Kim, and we have an interpreter with us. If you're watching on the YouTube side of things, we have Jamie, who is interpreting sign language for Jenn, who lost her hearing as a veteran of the United States Army. So everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Dave. Happy to be here today.
All right, Merle, fire away.
Well, Little Timber Hunter wants to know, Longhorn Paranormal, what is the scariest investigation you have been on, and what happened?
Ooh, I'd have to say
We all kind of have our own. Go ahead, Boo. Go ahead, Kim.
Everyone tell a campfire story. Clockwise.
after the first episode we did where I saw the black mist, but I didn't know enough like what I should be afraid of and what I should be afraid of. And in season 2, it's not aired yet, but we dealt with some really, really, really dark stuff and had really dark stuff that was intelligent. We had someone attacked. We've had that happen in private investigation too, but as far as like ones that we've filmed, is it episode 5, Jen?
Yeah, it's episode 5. It's the next one that comes out.
Next one that comes out. Whoa. We won't go in there. We won't go back in there. No one had ever investigated in there, and now no one ever will again.
It was so dangerous, I actually pulled the plug on the investigation myself.
Wow.
What was going on that made it so dangerous?
Well, we were investigating at the Jerome Grand Hotel. There is a section of that hotel that has never been investigated before by anyone. It's currently unfinished. And the hotel itself is a very gorgeous place. Beautiful history. It's a great place to stay. I've stayed there. We stay there usually once a month. Nothing bad ever happens. But this one particular section of the hotel, used to be the United Verde Mining Hospital, number 4. It was built in 1926, opened in 1927. And so it had 3 floors initially, 4th floor added on. And on the 2nd floor, they had a women's and children's ward. And so on the ward itself, they have yet to finish that section, and people have had experiences with like crosses that are hanging inside that ward that have become inverted and different things like that. And so when we were allowed in there to go investigate, we actually had a spirit come through on our necrophonic system. We had one of our interns, her mom, there with us that night. And so on our necrophonics came through and said metal and ball. And then it said touch. And so her mom was wearing this metal ball bracelet, and you literally see the bracelet get ripped off of her. It goes slamming against the wall, and it's a metal ball bracelet. And she got pushed. And so it actually got physically violent inside of there. And so then through our necrophonic system started coming through 666, the devil, just very, very, very evil stuff, very malevolent. And so between the physical violence, something getting ripped off, and the validation from our necrophonics, we decided for the safety of the team, we were going to pull the plug on the rest of the investigation.
Yeah, I have never felt so much pain as I did in that 2nd ward. Sometimes people feel a little nausea, especially women, a little nausea, maybe a little cramping. I felt like I was having contractions, actual painful contractions of labor. And that I have never experienced since I had kids. So yeah, that was crazy.
I think for me, every investigation is scary. And I'll tell you why, because I'm in a unique position that the rest of my team is not in. You walk into these places and it's dark, right? You've got your cameras. What we do, like behind me, I know some of y'all can't see, but we've got this green light. So everything we actually film is in a green light, and that's because my ears don't work. So we found a way to create lighting to where I could see my team, right? But also have that night vision effect. And so for me, I'm in an awkward position where when we go into these places, not only is it dark, but I can't hear anything either. And that really brings a whole new perspective to the investigation, because I've had experiences where I'll hear things. Let me say that again. I'll hear things. I'll be like, I just heard that.
Jen, well,
nobody else heard it.
2 things will happen. Jen will go, oh my God, did you hear this? And she'll say what it is. And I'm like, no. But then I'll hear stuff and I'll look at Jen and go, Jen, did you hear that? And she'll just look at me like, no.
So yeah, it's a really unique experience for me, because not only is the ability to see it inhibited, but I can't hear what's going on around me. So when we go into these places, I'm not allowed to go alone, because even with a radio, right, we move through with radios, right, for safety. I can't hear the radio. So Jamie goes in with us. Jamie will kneel down, out of sight of our cameras, and she's interpreting. And so what we're doing is a very unique situation. And certainly, so for me, every investigation certainly can be a scary experience.
Yeah, we almost killed our interpreter on the Naval Museum.
Yeah.
Oh.
She
Yeah.
about
Amy got
scared
scared
herself
of a
Yeah.
mannequin.
walking down a tight hallway, and she's like trying to interpret as we're walking, and she's trying to stay out of camera, and then sees this figure standing in this room and about runs down the hall, pushing everyone out of the way. And then it's like we go back and it's like, oh yeah, that's a mannequin. We saw that earlier.
I have a question coming from Sinister Vax. Have you ever investigated the Alamo, or if given a chance, would you?
We've
No.
looked into it a little bit and just said,
So we've looked into it. We have not investigated it. I would investigate it. The issue with the Alamo, and this gets complicated, right? This is where we get into a little bit of case law, which is another part of knowing what we do, right? So technically, you are not allowed to film the Alamo. Unfortunately, the First Amendment protects our right to freedom of the press, right? So certainly filming is a legalized activity. But a lot of these places, like the Alamo, are considered government land. And so they want specialized permits, large amounts of cash to get into them. For example, a place that we were just recently looking at, Superstition Mountains, they wanted $10,000 to go into a public park to film. Wow. And I'm like, so if I was a private citizen and I was just walking around with my cell phone, you're going to charge me 10 grand? They're like, well, no, that's different. I'm like, well, how is it different? We kind of have to weigh those things. So certainly I would love to do the Alamo, but there's some extra steps and extra things involved that, maybe going to a privately owned established haunted location. You go to your local, hotel and you say, I want to film the hotel. And okay, you're going to pay for the rooms for the night or whatever, so it's a little different, but yes, definitely somewhere I would be interested in doing.
Vinny wants to know, what is Necrophonic? Is that a phone app?
Necrophonics.
Ironically, we have it right here because we knew somebody would ask. So for those of you who can see, so this is Necrophonics. It is very similar to the idea of the SB70 Spirit Box, but it's a newer technology. So it's designed by a guy out of California, and what it is a sound bank. So instead of using the AM, FM frequencies like your old Spirit Box is used, this actually has an internal phonetic sound bank built into it, and it works on a couple different ways. So one, you have a white noise, 2, you have an echo, and 3, you have a reverb. So it does it in a series of 3 rotations of the same phonetic, or 1. And so what it does, it takes different phonetical sounds and puts them together to create a word instead of pulling it from those AM, FM frequencies. So very similar concept to a spirit box or a sound machine, but slightly different technology behind it. So this is Necrophonics.
Weird.
And when you hear your own name called, that gets a little freaky.
No, when you say somebody's name, a spirit's name, wrong,
Oh, yeah.
and it corrects you.
Corrects you.
No, it's Girthy, not Gunther, not Gunthy.
Yeah, I saw that app in use when I was in Wolf Creek, Oregon. One of the teams we were with brought it out and they tried it.
It's
really
pretty cool.
It's really good. We like to, when we try to film stuff, we always try to have 2 things to validate.
Yeah.
And then we use the Necrophonics, and then we'll use other stuff.
Like an Ovulus.
And if we can get the same thing on both, that's huge.
Yeah. So when I created this team, I kind of set a rule of thumb. A lot of people take one experience and say, oh, this is good enough for me, and it's paranormal. If we don't have at least at minimum 2 ways to validate something, I'm a big believer 2 is 1, 1 is none. So if there's not 2 ways to validate what we're experiencing, then we don't use it. It's not paranormal in my mind.
This is going to be a trigger warning for Dave here.
Uh-oh.
He loves this question. He's gonna get excited. You guys are very gear heavy. What's your go-to when you go to an investigation? For me, I'm simple. like an audio recorder. I like a camera, preferably 4K and night vision. And I like a FLIR. That's me.
Ooh, the FLIR.
That's one of our fun new toys.
This is my favorite question, so I'll let Kim and Steve go first because every time I answer it, people are like, I love that answer. So go ahead, guys.
For me, to validate something, I want to be able to see something or hear something. If I hear something, especially because Jen can't, obviously, if I hear something and then it's also validated on another piece of equipment, that is my go-to. No matter what equipment people have got, if this thing's blinking and that thing's not blinking, but when I hear a spirit say hi Kim, push Kim, things like that. That gets my attention, and that's kind of my go-to, my own stomach, my own ears, my own eyes.
In your guys' opinion, what is audible paranormal evidence? Because with my team, we have, since I'm in a form of enforcement, I like to have primary evidence and secondary evidence when I present to clients. Mm-hmm. What is evidence to you? What is audible?
So for me, twofold thing. Answer part of the previous question kind of rolls into this question. My favorite piece of equipment is whatever a spirit or an entity is comfortable using to engage with me. And so when it comes to the audio piece of that, I look at a couple things. One, you've got the different classes of EVPs, right? And then you have your necrophonics, your spirit boxes, things like that, right? And then you have what is audible to the ear. People say, "Oh, I heard something." If I am asking a question and I get a crystal clear yes on a voice recorder, that in my mind is a great piece of audible evidence. Because if you've got 3 people sitting in a room and nobody's speaking, where did it come from, right? Certainly there's something to question there. And the necrophonics is a great tool, right? The spirit box is a great tool. But there's always room with these electrical devices for interference. And so, Steve is very much so the guy on our team who goes, I'm gonna see how
I can set something off. What is it gonna take to make this go bang? And yeah, like my favorite, I like cameras. I'm very visual, so I try to always have a camera, and we shoot most of our stuff with iPhones, 4K. We try to keep it, everything we have, anyone else can get.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I've got $10,000 cameras that, the average person can't get. Hey, I'm shooting on with the iPhone.
iPhones are impressive. They do good in natural light. Like I use mine too.
We use DJI cameras, Osmos, pockets, drones, iPhones. When we created this brand, we wanted to use everyday things that anybody could pick up, right? So the very first thing we did was we did a live stream, and we said, this is the equipment we're going to use. And we did a 2-hour live stream on Facebook where we showed people, right? $19.99 Harbor Freight thermometer. Go pick yourself up one.
Not a sponsor, not yet.
Right? Yeah. We didn't have sponsors. We didn't have, nobody, pulling strings for anything. And we really wanted people to see that we were just everyday people picking up everyday things that anybody can go get. And it wasn't like, we're using, a $1,200 SLS camera. And so we really worked hard to do that and get equipment that people could relate to. We really wanted people to be able to relate to what we're doing.
Speaking of relation, it always comes down to the stories that people have. As we got about 5 minutes to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio's Ghosts of the Great White North. For you guys, when you go out looking for the spirits or you get called to a case, do you believe that there is a tie between what you guys are doing and the spirits? Do you think they know you are coming? Are they prepared for your interaction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had the privilege for a short time to intern under the infamous Ed and Lorraine Warren. And I got to learn firsthand that there is definitely a connection between the cases you work and the things you experience, because I had those things happen and I got to ask those questions, right? So some of the things that I experienced before we go and film something, I'll start to have really weird dreams, right? Or, we'll go work a case and you feel this energy follow you. And things will happen along the way, right? So we've had literally physical oppositions on the way to private clients, or when we go to serve a client, things will start acting up, they'll get worse. And I'll tell the client, listen, it knows we're coming, okay? So we certainly have had those experiences where the activity picks up, or we start to feel these physical interferences in our personal lives, for sure.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here because they're starting to pile up a little bit. And let's go with, where are we here? Because my chat room moved on me.
Vinny had one.
Yes.
Let's leave that one for the top of the hour, the demonic possession one.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's see here. My goodness, sometimes our chat room, this is where real radio comes in. It goes so fast that we just can't go. Let's go to 11's question here. How do you know it's ghosts and not psychokinesis from a member of the team creating effects or evidence?
That's above my pay grade.
I'm not that talented.
We've actually had people sit and watch literally while we're investigating certain stuff. Depending on the location, it's whether it's feasible or not to do that. But had people sit there and kind of watch. It's like, oh, you've seen this on TV, you see how, but sit and watch how we work this. And I think makes it more valid that, it's like we're not trying to animate this or make it up in the editing room.
Yeah. And another thing too is, it kind of stems back to that idea of you can certainly create your own haunting, right? We talk a lot in the paranormal world about, people that'll walk around and say, oh, this is haunted, oh, that's haunted, and you produce your own haunting. And I've had client cases where I say, if you stop walking around saying your house is haunted, it won't be haunted, right? We can manifest those things in our own mind. And so I think this is a great question because certainly it can absolutely happen. And I think there's a mixture of what we self-manifest and what we don't. And I think even with what the nature of what we do, I think to some percent it can be self-manifested. But you are certainly talking about a very real plane, right? I mean, the spirit planes are a very real thing. I mean, even fundamentally down to different religious beliefs and cultural beliefs, the spirit planes in the paranormal field go hand in hand. And so I think that's a great question because there's a little bit to be taken from both.
Okay, let's quickly squeeze in Joe's question here. And he is asking, have any of you ever run into cryptid ghosts? Can monsters be spirits?
I'm going to take this one too. All right. So I love this question. One of my favorite things that I love hearing is when a client calls me and says there's a demon in my house. I immediately laugh. I've been doing this almost 20 years. And there's only 2 times I've ever truly believed that there was something very demonic in a home. Monsters. Yeah, I mean, again, we get into this religious concept, right? But I think there's a strong difference between evil and malevolence. Just like in life, there are happy people and there's angry people. And not every spirit that's, projecting poltergeist-like activity or, acting in an aggressive manner is the devil or a monster or something very malevolent. It could just be a very upset spirit. And so I think there's a difference between that. And then on the monster side of things, I certainly think there's a difference between what somebody would refer to as monster or malevolent or evil and bad and the spirit, right? Because even in the fundamentals of ghost hunting and the types of hauntings, demonic or malevolent is something separate from residual and intelligent.
All right, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, if you do not mind. We have Jen, Steve, Kim, Jamie from Longhorn Paranormal joining Merle and myself for Ghosts of the Great White North here on Spaced Out Radio. We will continue right after this. All right, we're clear.
Great.
He's flying by.
Throwing your hand up, Dave, is perfect because I can see that. I can't hear the music started. Oh, music.
No problem. No problem.
These questions are amazing. I love these questions. They're doing awesome questions.
We have a brilliant audience. We really do.
I'm trying to click the, show more. I was like, God, it's
perfect.
I'm having fun.
It's a good show.
It's a blast. It's a blast. This has been awesome. Why do ghosts have to obey gravity or fly? Why do ghosts have to obey gravity or fly? Well, I don't know how to answer that question because I mean,
I don't know if they necessarily do.
Yeah. I've never seen a flying ghost.
Yeah, someone asked an interesting question about, do ghosts smell? I thought that was
so they actually do. So one of the key indicators of a demonic possession is actually the smell of meat or odor. Also, the smell of sulfur is an indicator of paranormal phenomena. So yeah, I mean, certainly there's a scientific basis to suggest that there is a possibility of spirits or entities having an odor or smell.
Spirit guides will use their smell for their individual person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
By the way, Jamie, you are amazing.
He's quick.
I'm trying to keep up.
Jamie is also a veteran. She is a former 68 Whiskey Army medic.
Awesome.
Right on.
That's one of the many reasons I hired her.
Very nice. Down the YouTube rabbit hole says, I'm from Texas. Great show.
Jamie is from Katy and I am from Conroe.
I just want to eat real Tex-Mex food.
Yes. I agree.
Merle, we need to road trip.
Dude, we're on it. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
The borders need to open.
The sites.
Texas.
I want tacos. I want hot wings. And I want that real sleazy rock and roll that only Texas can provide, like Pantera or Texas Hippie Coalition.
I want to go to a road
Finger
trip
Death
in the middle of nowhere.
I want to see a road runner.
Roadrunners are cool.
Backyard.
They run across the patio and they go meep meep.
Classic.
By the way,
I know.
they're
I've never seen a coyote though here.
They'll eat
I've
lizard.
never seen an anvil. Sorry, Steve. I'm like fucking over you.
It's all right.
No coyotes or anvils.
Down the YouTube rabbit hole is from League City, Texas.
All right. I'll be back 1 second.
All right. Merle.
Hi, Dave.
Magnus has the comment of the night. Pantera plus tacos equals heaven. Yes, Magnus. Yes, you are right. Yes, you are right.
Love it. Yes, I'm having another one. We got an hour to go.
That's awesome.
But I sleep till noon, so
Fair
I'm
enough.
used to staying up. Jen thinks I slack in the morning because I'm sleeping all day. She doesn't know that I'm talking to you, Merle.
Thank you, gorgeous Carol Burke. As usual, Dave, another absolutely awesome show. I couldn't do it without my main man, Merle, here. He's the one who got this great group, Longhorn Paranormal, on the show. And It's funny because the day before, every time we go on the air, Merle will hit me up and he'll be like, "Are you excited? Are you excited for tomorrow night?" So I bug him and I'm like, "No."
Yeah, you do.
Hey, the gorgeous and talented Nicole Sakic has joined the chat room. Let's put her comment up there.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
She's got aliens.
Yeah, we have had people ask us, do you do alien stuff? And we're like, yeah, we have for private client, but not for investigation.
Right. I'm going to get you guys to hold on here. I want to say thank you to Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Magnus, Sinister, Catfish, Jason, Ben, Fapster, and Mondak for the super chats tonight. We're going to kick off the second half of the show right here in 3 seconds.
Good night, Kira.
Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Merle is here for Paranormal Talk all night long with Ghosts of the Great White North. He's with Paranormal Road Trippers up here based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and Longhorn Paranormal from the beautiful state of Texas joins us. We have Jenn, Steve, Kim, and Jamie joining us from the squad, and we're proud to have each and every one of them here. Merle, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Dave. How are you doing? It's a great show.
Very good show.
Strong.
Very,
show.
very good. Very strong. Very strong. You know, let's continue on with our audience questions here because they do have some. You know, there's always this talk of crossover. You know, is the paranormal really part of a bigger scene with aliens, UFOs, cryptids? And this leads to Nikki's question. What kind of alien stuff do you do for private clients? Have you dealt with extraterrestrials?
I'll take this. We had some friends actually see some strange lights in the sky that have been reported in Arizona that we investigated a little bit. It actually got nothing from it because that was the one night nothing happened. And of course, go home and then next night, oh yeah, they're back. But we had actually been on the road working on something else, and we could actually see it from the highway and drove 60 miles out of our way.
Yeah. So Arizona is notorious for mysterious lights. Across Maricopa and down in the Pinal counties, for 50 years now, there's been these reports of strange lights, and so there's a couple things. So you've got the infamous Phoenix lights and things like that a lot of people know about, and certainly it's not really our specialty in terms of a lane, but we've had some people who call us and they say, hey, we're seeing these mysterious lights, and so with the nature of our film equipment, we'll go out and we'll investigate that. And the one thing we have found is that a lot of that strange phenomena where we've kind of come face to face with kind of all relates back to the military properties that are west of Pinal and Maricopa counties. You got a lot of proving grounds and testing grounds. And it certainly doesn't justify what happens within the counties, but there is certainly some questions that need answered. And I mean, you're talking about, and just at a fundamental level, you from Area 51 all the way down into the Air Force lands and the military Marine Corps proving grounds near Yuma. there's a long history of phenomena, and people do reach out to us and ask us, you know, to investigate it because they can see it from their house and they just can't explain it. We do try to give people some peace of mind with that, but certainly there's some things that are just truly unexplainable out here.
All right, let's get over to Chris Mo, who is all the way in Austria, tuning us in. And Chris Mo is asking, do you use rituals too, or just technical gear?
Case 13.
Yeah, case 13. I'll take that. I'm the more spiritual person on the team. So I believe very much in protective gear, things like tourmaline and sage, holy water. I always have with me my cross, several crosses, my rosaries, things like that. If we're in like someplace where it's like really dark, I whip that stuff out. We have rituals as far as when we leave a place that we do in our Father prayer, and we have a, you know, you stay here, don't follow us home kind of prayer that we do. But those are the kind of rituals that we do. If we're working with something that is possibly demonic, we'll put out crosses or hang a cross or do things like that to see if the entity turns it upside down or messes with it or freaks out. And we've had private clients where may have possibly been possessed, that when we brought out the sage and the holy water and the rosaries and the crosses, all of a sudden her dogs outside started barking like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like so weird. So I'm the one that's Catholic on the team, and so I try and bring some grounding protection on that base because we don't know what we're always dealing with.
Another thing. Oh, sorry, Kim.
No, go ahead.
Another thing too, you know, so ritualistically within an investigation, you know, there's a lot of people who do some really weird things, and I just kind of want to pop in. You know, there's one thing we're fundamentally against, and I actually I hopped on the internet and I really ripped Hasbro a new one. So they sell a Ouija board. And I've done a lot of study into the use of Ouija boards and the 1970s psychiatric manuals and clinical papers related to clients and insanity or schizophrenic ideations in association with the use of Ouija boards. And so that's one thing I always tell people: don't mess with the Ouija board. It's extremely dangerous. You know, people compare this idea of rituals and stuff to opening portals and different things. You know, just to, even at a fundamental level, getting back to a previous question, you can manifest your own haunting, right? You can manifest your own portals. And so, you know, we're very careful and very strategic with the things that we do. You know, we're going to be filming, and you're getting way out of our comfort zone. We're going to be doing an entire episode on nothing but New Orleans voodoo soon. And so, you know, that is a very ritualistic culture. And so you certainly have to be careful with that stuff. And we really try to educate ourselves before we do just jump into something, not knowing what we might do.
All right, let's move on to another question here from our audience. 11 is asking, have you ever taken hitchhikers, like from the hitchhiker phenomena, home, or have they followed you home?
I think that kind of leads back to my question of fundamentally where this brand, or where I started, was taking things home with me. I mean, we really work hard not to take things home with us. We have quote unquote rituals that, you know, what is here stays here kind of thing. And then when we get home, when we get back to the house or we get the gear back on the truck, we leave that stuff, right? We go through this whole series of kind of cleansing our equipment, where, you know, if we're headed home after investigation, we're not staying on the road. We get it home, it moves to the garage. We take the trucks and the trailer, we go wash them down. We cleanse them. We take them to the car wash. We sage them. We park them. The gear moves inside to the garage, right? We then leave it there for a couple days, right? And we leave sage around the garage and at the doorways. So we go through this whole process of cleansing our equipment and ourselves and our gear to kind of try to create that barrier. And then we also set hard boundaries, right? So, just like we tell a private client, it's not welcome here. So we certainly have brought stuff with us, and it does happen. But we really work hard not to.
All right. Vin is asking, do you have any stories you could share about demonic possession?
Yes. So I'm going to pretext this. We sign confidentiality agreements with private clients. So I cannot divulge into too much detail. But we have dealt with one particular private client case where we were truly dealing with a piece of furniture that had an attachment that was brought in from an extremely historically haunted place. And the violence in the home was so bad that people's eyes turned black, and weapons were pulled. The police were there. People were taken to jail. There was quite a bit of physical violence on this private client case. So certainly we have dealt with that. We had priests there. So yes, we do, but I really, because of the nature of our confidentiality agreements, I can't really say much more than that.
Okay. Let's
Merle
get
has a question.
Yeah, go Merle.
Yeah, Merle's got a question. Back to the Ouija boards. I like to talk about teams about this. I'm okay with them. I don't use them on the regular. I view them like this. We use spirit boxes. We use some people use ovuluses. I kind of look at it as a Ouija board as the analog version of the new era spirit box, because neither device to me has a caller ID, and I think it's when we use our intentions and who we're trying to talk to and our protection barriers. Like we come in with our Tulamine, and I like fire agate and black onyx. That's what I prefer, and I find we really don't know who we're talking to. We could be talking to Billy Bob, who's stating that he's Johnny because Billy Bob really wants to talk to someone. And the only person we're calling out for is Johnny, are you here? Johnny, are you here? Yes, I'm here. But really, it's Billy Bob. But be it on a spirit box, a Ouija board, Ovulus, or that app, we really don't know who we're talking to. That's just my opinion on that. I was just wondering what you guys thought of that outlook.
I think that's a great point. I think for me, my frustration is the sensation. So the one thing that I always go back to is sensationalized stuff, right? We look at a lot of horror movies where people use the Ouija board with false intentions and bad things happen, right? For me, fundamentally, it goes back to what your intentions are. And certainly the experts in the field, right? If you as an expert within your field feel the necessity to utilize it, that's great. But, for people to just open and close potential portals or doorways or and not know what they're doing or not do it properly, it's just like anything. There's a fundamental level of understanding and training and common knowledge of what you're utilizing. But I think you make a very, very good point. Steve?
Yeah. I agree. I lost my train of thought on that one.
Kim?
That's okay. Let's get to Joe's question here as we move on here. And Joe is asking, have any of you ever used food as a trigger object? Say a plate of bacon, tacos, or fresh biscuits?
Local City, where I did
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
no,
City.
with the
With
beef
jerky.
with beef jerky. Oh yeah,
Vulture
spicy
City.
beef jerky. It was good.
Now I'm hungry.
United States makes the best beef jerky.
We were filming Vulture City was
Texas has the best beef jerky.
Yeah. We were filming Vulture City, a town originally started by a man named Henry Wickenburg, and it's a gold mining town. And so we were in the assay office where they have a kitchenette set up. And so Steve was sitting in there with beef jerky and trying to elicit a response. It was pretty comical. He's like, "Come on, come grab the jerky, grab the bag."
That's awesome. Or maybe ghosts get hungry or they miss that. You never know.
Merle,
I just saw a black
love the
cat
black
go
cat
behind you, Merle.
walking behind. It's just awesome.
The which?
The
The
cat,
black cat behind you.
Oh, yeah. She's doing her thing, right?
making a little cameo there.
She's supposed to be with my kid right now in her room.
All right. Let's get to Cedric's question. Can Moldavite crystals be used as protective gear?
Ooh, I'm
Tim?
outside of my realm of expertise. I don't know what a Moldavite crystal is.
I think if you believe in something can protect you, I think your intention is good. Do I think like if you bring a blank piece of paper in to protect you, maybe not, but it's the intent behind the crystal. That's just my opinion.
So I wear bracelets, right, with tourmaline rock, and I mean, I don't know what a Moldavite crystal is, but certainly, I mean, it's the ideation of using crystals or rocks or different things to protect yourself. I don't wear these bracelets that I wear for, to just because. I believe that there's some intrinsic value in the blocking the negative energy and protecting my health. And so a great thing here is they created this bracelet a handful of years back. It was referred to as an energy bracelet, and you could put this thing on, and they were pushing these things all over. I bought one at a concert, I think, and they put your fist in your hand and supposedly blocked out these electronic fields, and you couldn't be knocked over. So I think fundamentally, I agree with you, Merle. It's about your intent of what it's for.
Okay. Nikki wants to ask, do you close portals and vortexes?
Depends.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like with private clients, yes. With haunted places,
no.
It's it's kind of like going to out in a forest preserve, and it's like you try not to leave your trash there, or you try not to take anything back, take stuff from there. It's like leave it as you found it.
Yeah. It depends on the situation, right? I mean, we're going to film a haunted place. We're not there to close the portals, or we're there to see what happens, right? Document our experience. With a private client, though, yeah. I mean, if a client wants us to attempt to do that, I mean, the idea isn't always about closing a portal, but maybe we're removing a spirit from a home, right, or asking it to leave. But yeah, certainly. I mean, there are cases where you do that kind of stuff, and those portals do get open, right? People go to a place and they do a satanic ritual, and they open up a portal, and maybe they leave. Transients or people, and then a client will call you and say, "Hey, I just moved into this house and this activity's happening." The whole idea is that we come in and try to close that portal or remove that entity or what have you. So I think there's an attempt, but there's not always a guarantee either. You can go in there with your best effort and see. And a great example of that is the parent case with Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they went into the Conjuring house, and their whole intent. And so people watch The Conjuring, right? And it ends with this beautiful picture of it all coming to an end. But the reality of it and the truth of that case is they actually weren't able to do that. It was not a successful closing of what was happening at the Conjuring house. And so I think there's always an attempt to make that happen, but it's not always guaranteed.
Yeah. And that's kind of out of our lane. It's more, we do the documentation, and then we'll help try to get somebody else to
priest, pastor, based on the religious beliefs. And fundamentally, not all religions believe in portals. So you look at demonology. Islam, for example, doesn't have a basis of demonology and basis of demonic portals or entities. So you really have to look at, who and what you're dealing with collectively.
Man, I want to investigate the Conjuring house. It is on my bucket list. Have you guys done that one? Or what do you guys think? do you think, since it's been open to the public, and I see like on Instagram, lots of people taking photos and doing their lives at the Conjuring house, do you feel that any sort of spirit activity there will be dimmed a little bit or suppressed because it's trampled through too much? Or do you think it's still good to go?
So I asked Lorraine Warren one time if I should ever investigate the Conjuring house, and Dave said I'm not allowed to cuss, so I can't tell you what she said. But she said, F no, was her exact words. I said, should I ever investigate there? And she said, F no. So would I? No, because she told me not to. But with that said, I think, again, I think some of that is sensationalized. I think that the parent family experience is very real. But I believe that the footprint, the carbon footprint, right, just like with anything, it fades over time. And with all the people that have gone in there and done different things, and like the current family that resides there now, they have a Ouija board in the house. They do, Ouija board sessions, and nothing happens, right? We've had the week-long live feeds with Jay and Marie Yates, right, where they were in the Conjuring house, right? And so, I think there's still that residual energy, but I mean, I don't know. I think each person's, experience, and certainly what energy that person brings with them to that place is going to help indicate what kind of activity they have. Steve?
That's one thing I find very interesting, especially with when you're asking about other paranormal groups investigating, kind of the same, being a saturated market. If you look at the videos, I love watching videos, especially if we're investigating a site. I'll do research on it and look at what other groups have gone in there and done and what experiences they've had. And it's interesting to see how you can have two groups literally going in there, asking sort of the same questions and getting different responses. I like being able to go in there and I don't necessarily have to ask the same questions, but I can get a different response or, different experience.
All right.
That was just there.
Sorry, let's move on to another question here. This one from Justin. Has Longhorn Para ever investigated a haunted mine?
Ooh, Jen's favorite thing.
What?
Investigated
Haunted mine.
Mine. No, we have not, but we might be very soon.
Me too.
We may or may not be investigating the Good Enough mine in Tombstone. That is still up for debate. But they have asked us to come out. I'm not a big fan of being underground. I'm terrified. I'm claustrophobic. I don't do small spaces. But that may be something we do very, very soon.
I don't know if I could. Being underground like that, I don't know if I could. Let's get to Vinny's question, as we have just under 2 minutes here before we go to break here at the top of the hour. Does burning sage and stuff like that really help keep evil spirits away?
God, I hope so.
I think so.
I think it's, like Merlin said, that it's a matter of your intent.
Yeah.
That, hey, I'm going to burn this. It's going to make you move on. It's going to do this. It's kind of what energy you put into it.
So yes, we have it at every doorway in our house, in the inside. And we have, when we feel like we've had some weird stuff going on, or maybe followed us home, burn some sage inside the house to just double check, just a little extra.
Southwest Border Patrol kind of gives us a pass. They do not want to stop us, look at us, or anything. They're like, dear Lord, get them moving along. I do not want to touch that.
We have them sign a waiver that if they search our vehicle, that we're not responsible if anything attaches itself to them.
Yeah. I've got a whole little, wait. Please sign this waiver if you need to search. No, hold on. What?
I'm going to try that.
Wave us through.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, we only have about 30 minutes left with you tonight. as we prepare to get into hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio, which will be coming up right after the break. We got a great show going on here, and I know we got more questions from the audience, including Ben from UFO Garage, who's in Texas as well, designing T-shirts for this new Spaced Out Radio store. And I know he's got a great question for you. We got Paranormal Road Trippers MERLE here tonight, as he is with me once a month for Ghosts of the Great White North, but we're way south with our guests. Kim, Jen, Steve, and Jamie from Longhorn Paranormal are hanging on out. We got them for another 30 minutes before we turn the corner and then get to the Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is next.
Wow, it's been so fast. Hey, I wanted to. Are we clear?
All right, we're clear.
Sorry. I saw a comment from Kirk in here. Kirk,
yeah, you guys go ahead.
I see your comments. I noticed that you said you're Muslim. So I just wanted to address you on my previous statement. So I actually had a respectable member of the Islamic community write our educational page, give us the information for our educational page. And so what I was referencing was actually, so what he told us is Islam has no doctrinal hierarchy of demonology within it that exists. And he goes on to say some Muslim scholars have tried to classify jinn and demons. However, there is no established classification in terms for jinn that may overlap or be used interchangeably. So that's what I was referencing. I'm not saying that in its entirety that demonology or demons don't exist within the Muslim and Islamic communities, but just at a fundamental basis that there was no hierarchy within that. So, and if that information is wrong, I understand, but that's just based off what we had learned from the Islamic Church, so the Islamic faith. So I don't mean to be disrespectful. So I just wanted to kind of clarify where I was drawing my information from, and certainly it could be correct or incorrect. If you would like to, help, if you would like to kind of help. Fix that or share some information with us, feel free to email it to us at longhornparanormal@gmail.com. I would love to take a look, and if there's something we need to address or update on our education tabs on our website, I'd love to do that. So,
I got a really cool jinn story for you, since we're talking about jinn.
Yeah.
My coworker where I work, one of the officers, he's Muslim, and he's from Pakistan. He moved here when he was a teenager. And he his family, they had a farm, like a really, really big farm. And it was all, they had goats and sheep primarily. And there was one tree in the middle of the pasture where all these little animals were, that the area around it, all the grass, all the vegetation was all dead. And it was just a half dead tree. And then growing up, he used to say that his parents wouldn't allow him or his brothers and sisters to go near that tree because they said the jinn lived in there.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the goats or the sheep would go near there, they would get sick and they would usually die.
Yeah.
And he, because he knows what I do, we talk about sometimes we ride in the same patrol vehicle together. So we'll talk about ghost stories. He'll talk about his jinn stories. And it's very interesting to learn about that stuff.
Yeah. Well, the guy I talked to about it was telling me very similar stories of, like, he said they refer to the demons as jinn and it's a negative energy, and that, where he's from in the Middle East. So they would have very similar experiences with like the goats, and that wouldn't go to sections of the farm because of spirits they were experiencing. So, it's interesting. I mean, and certainly, I live in America. I'm not an expert on all things religion and all, every religion's different. So I think that there's definitely, at a fundamental basis, all religions have a belief in good and evil. So I think, that's definitely a good story. I like that one.
He won't even let me say the word jinn around him. He gets all weird.
Oh,
just because of his growing up seeing it happen when he was little. He's like, don't say that because when you say it, they can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
It's kind of like Beetlejuice, right?
Our guy
Beetlejuice.
wouldn't talk to me on the phone about it. He said he would just send me paperwork. He's like, we hadn't talked about it, but he's like, he kind of skirted around the issue, and he's a religious leader, and he's like, I'll send you some documentation on it, but it's not. I noticed that, and when I was in the military too, a lot of your Middle Eastern cultures, they like to skirt around the issue. They do not like to sit there and talk about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
it's like Zozo. No one wants to talk about it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Or Momo.
Oh,
Remember
that one
Momo?
too, yeah. He's behind you.
I got to run the bathroom. I'll be right back, guys.
The Candyman. Have you guys seen that movie?
That's a good movie.
I used to live a block away from the Cabrini Green when they were still, and Steve has been through there a lot too.
Yes.
Driving through in the middle of the night.
I've got stories I don't even want to talk.
Yeah. But yeah, the Candyman, that was one of the scariest movies my whole life I've seen.
See, I think Children of the Corn, but growing up in Rockford, we were real close to a lot of cornfields. So
yeah.
It's very terrifying if you watch that and then you can look in someone's backyard and you see a cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can see that.
Yep.
Dave, what are you eating?
I'm eating beef jerky that was made by Little Marky Spender.
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got under a minute here.
Because we were all just talking about beef jerky. Now, I don't have beef jerky, but not cool, Dave.
Yeah, well, you didn't bring up my favorite wings last time you were here.
Well, I won't bring them up ever now.
I don't have to mail you some good beef jerky from Texas.
Yes.
Yes, that works. All right, big thank you to Sinister, to Catfish, Jason, Ben, Fabster, Mondak, Magnus, Jeremy, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support this show. Thank you to everyone tuning on in tonight in our chat rooms and watching live. And of course, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, ring that bell so you know when we are live here 7 days a week. And a big thank you to all the veterans tuning on in. We're going to continue with Spaced Out Radio here in 3 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone tuning on in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Naganapot. Naganapot is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we bring in Merle from Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And this is Ghosts of the Great White North, a show we do each and every month, talking all things paranormal. Our big group tonight, we have from Longhorn Paranormal, we have Jenn and Steve, we have Kim and Jamie with us. So thank you, everyone, for coming on in. And we want to start off with Ben, who's down in Austin, Texas. He's got a great podcast with his buddy Joe called UFO Garage. They're great friends of this show. And if you haven't subscribed to their YouTube channel, you definitely need to do that. Ben is wondering, how many hauntings do you know happen on the 37th parallel?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
7.
All right.
7. Apparently it is 7, according to Merle.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just
7.
throwing that out there.
Were you just guessing?
Yep.
I'm
Is there an answer?
Yeah. I don't have an answer to that one. I'm gonna look into that though. I'm gonna add that to our research here.
Or Vin. Everybody makes fun of him.
That's all right. Ben's good people. He's got great hair, fantastic hair that he's growing out. All right. I want to ask you about your adventures that you go. Okay, a lot of people want to go to all of these popular places we mentioned earlier. The Alamo was mentioned, and other areas like that. I'm a firm believer that a lot of the best stories out there are from these little road towns that are off the beaten track, that maybe have a population of 300, because every little town out there has its own story. And are you guys tracking down those stories to bring them to light?
The Haunted Highway.
Yes.
Describe that for me.
So, actually, leading back into the last question about the 37th parallel, we're actually working to build a haunted map, interactive map on our website that tracks hauntings around the world. And so maybe one day we'll have the answer to that question on the 37th parallel, because I mean, that's a lot of real estate to cover. But we every time we hear, I do a lot of like TikTok live streams, and people will tell me their stories of their small town USA experiences. And Steve will start looking for the oddball stuff. So one thing Steve really loves to do is find the things that haven't been done yet. Right.
That's my favorite.
He loves to go digging. And so we'll find like we found recently an off the beaten path former town that was completely in ruins. And we drove about 2 hours just to go look at it and see if it was something worth investigating. And so he did, started with an S. I forget the name.
I don't even remember the name of it, but we did find a dead rattler. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. But we found this old abandoned, town that was 100 years old. And, so Steve's always looking for stuff like that.
Found a cemetery. It was maybe 20 by 20 feet that had, and then talked to an owner of a ranch, and there was actually an unmarked grave nearby with stuff, but he's like, the family's, keeps it locked. They don't want people investigating and stuff like that. Kids coming in there damaging stuff. I'm like, no, I totally understand. It's like, but that's the kind of research we do, is like, I'm going to talk to the people that live on the land, that have been there. They had been there for 4 generations.
4 generations. Yeah. Yep. So we're always looking for that stuff. And so when we find something that we're able to get our hands into and actually get some valid information, then we're adding it to this map, both the historical, well-known haunts as well as the small town USA stuff. And so people all the time are constantly inundating our email. They'll send us, hey, check out this and check out that. And so we look at those different places. And eventually I would like to have the most exhausted list of paranormal locations out there.
Good idea. I like that.
See, yeah. And the reason why I bring that up is I always think, and I know I'm repetitious on this show about this, but I always think it's easy to go to the popular places. Sure, they may be paranormal Disneylands that you want to attend, but in reality,
I like that one.
We're not pushing the limits to find those great stories that are out there. And there's so many of them. Yep. There's so many of those stories that just have not been told, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in British Columbia, where Merle and I are, or anywhere in North America or the world for that matter. And I want to see that creativity.
Yep. That's why we did the Galveston Naval Museum, right? So, a lot of these bigger ships, the Queen Mary, the USS Lexington, the USS Yorktown, these things have all been done. And the one thing I found out when I called the Galveston Naval Museum, no paranormal teams ever investigated it, and they've had a history of hauntings. What's more interesting is there's been no deaths on either ship, but lots of deaths associated with both ships. And so it was like an honor to be able to do it and to be able to be the first ones to do it, and then through doing that, we were able to share a piece of history that's forgotten, because this is a state museum owned by a private organization that receives no federal funding. And so, for us to go in and actually learn about the USS Kavala and the USS Stewart and all of that, and be able to look at the history and find out that the USS Stuart actually helped escort Franklin Delano Roosevelt to plan the Normandy invasion, and the USS Cavallo was the avenger of Pearl Harbor. Like, we are able to dig into these pieces of history that are getting overlooked by the sensationalized stuff that is just done and done and done and done and done. And then people go, whoa, wait, Galveston Naval Museum? They had so much traffic going to their website. One of the superintendents for the Galveston Navy Museum called me and said, "You crashed our website." I'm like, "When?" Right? So I love. That's one of my favorite things, man. Like, let's get to the stuff that hasn't been done yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, helping people
lists that haven't been done, and that's why they're on our list.
See, one of our mission statement is to revolutionize paranormal investigations. And we do that by doing the history, the research, and bringing the personal side to it. Interviews with people that have been there or been impacted or had relatives that worked there or lived there or endured something there. Bringing that personal, real touch to it, not just, oh my God, the door slammed.
Yep. A great example of that is the Galveston Naval Museum. So we actually interviewed a guy whose name is Ron Whitener, right? And so not even paranormal. We actually filmed a 48-minute tour of the USS Cavallo. And what's more interesting about that is Ron Whitener served on the Cavallo.
Wow.
Not even paranormal investigation. We just filmed a 48-minute tour and gave it to them. Like, we made the compilation tour video, and it's currently on their website, GalvestonNavalMuseum.com. And you go to their tour page, and it's Longhorn Paranormal's Ron Whitener tour of the USS Cavallo.
Yeah, and you'll learn all about torpedoes.
It's so awesome to be able to do that for them.
I was sitting on a torpedo.
Yeah.
Jen won a torpedo race.
Yeah. So...
Do you guys take on cases, or are there cases that you will not take on?
I will tell you that we take on a lot of cases. We get inundated with requests. We don't take on everything we get. And that's just the nature of any business, right? You can't take every time the phone rings, you can't help everybody. And part of that is, and I know Merle can kind of attest to this, is, a medium can charge for a reading and different things, but it's kind of still taboo for paranormal investigators to charge for private clients. And so we try not to charge. We take donations to our website to serve private clients, and that's a great thing when people do donate to support us to be able to go assist these people. But at a fundamental level, sometimes it's not financially feasible. Sometimes
depending on location, travel,
the nature of the client.
Yeah, nature of the client.
Right. If I talk to a client, I think that the basis of their issue is more scientifically sound or founded, or maybe it's mental health, I'm not going to take that case. Certainly, when we look at a private client case, our application is 20 pages.
Wow.
And there's a reason for that, because we want to know everything from the health of that client to the history of the residents to there's so much more to it than just picking up a camera and looking for a ghost. Because
Did they play with the Ouija board when they were 12?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to have a big list of things to ask people.
Yeah.
Or you get the client to go, I'm hearing things after I do crystal meth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes the voices go away. Yeah.
So sometimes, these people aren't experiencing a haunting, and so it's not feasible for us to take the case. So there's a lot of things that go into every case we look at, whether we're going to take it or not.
In residential cases, I like to hit 2 to 3 times for consistency before I come up with a resolution of haunting. And because I need to document the research. There's no way possible you can document enough research in one night unless you're at like the Conjuring House circa 1970s and come up with your explanation for the client. Because I like to, because the first time whenever you go to an investigation, I think you guys will attest to this too, that's when you get most of your stuff within the first 2 hours, because they're like, oh, who are these people? But then
Right.
I also like time when for the client to go away for a while on the
Yeah.
second investigation. So there's nobody there, just you, your gear, and your team. And then
Yeah.
the third is when I like to do a reveal or talk to the client and have them involved in the investigation, because the client makes a good trigger object sometimes.
Right.
Because they say Aunt Edna only wants to talk to whoever lives in the house because that's whoever lives in the house aunt. And then you come in, she's not going to want to talk to you. She doesn't know you. But when you bring the client in, that's when sometimes your evidence spikes as well.
And also
Yeah.
by the third time you're there, it's also gotten used to you. Like, oh, great, they're still
It's
hanging
old.
around here.
Yeah.
Great. Now I got to move them out of here. So let me
Yep.
do something.
Yep.
Because instead of just hiding the first day.
Yep. Yeah, no, so I think there's a lot that fundamentally goes into analyzing every one of these cases and whether, it's a good case to take. Me personally, I would love to be able to take every case. And I have a vision to be able to do that. I would love to reach the point that Longhorn Paranormal, from an entertainment standpoint, is successful enough as a brand. So I love charity work. I love giving back. I have this vision, right, that someday we're going to be the next Ghost Adventures brand. And I'm going to be able to walk down the street, and walk into a car dealership and buy everybody's car. I want to be able to find a homeless veteran and get him off the streets and give him a job. My motto is Longhorn Paranormal, a different kind of brand. I literally want to change lives with this brand. And so one day I want to reach this point that I have teams across the country that I know we've trained right, and we've trained the way to do this correctly. And that, when a private client calls and they say they need help, I can send team A here and team B there. And I have teams that can literally go to these people's homes and help people, because there are so many people experiencing a haunting all over. And there's so many people that, it's so taboo, right? That, they'll say, hey, I need help, but I really don't want anybody to know that I'm, you know what I mean? So, I really want to be able to do that. And
Neighbors do talk when we pull up, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pull up
Your
in a truck.
vehicle's a heat score. I've seen that on Instagram. Heat score.
All right, let's get to a few more questions with the audience because we only have about 8 minutes left. And this one comes from Nikki. What do you do with your data after an investigation?
So we show it to the client. We take pages and pages of notes, video. We take all that data, and then once we give what we give to the client, we retain that on a private server indefinitely. We don't ever get rid of anything. So we maintain it, we house it, we store it, and then we can reference it, right? We can go back and reference it with maybe future cases if we're seeing something similar to something we've experienced before. So our public stuff that we do for an entertainment value, we'll put out into the world as a TV episode or on our LP Ranch memberships, exclusive content. Our private client stuff you will never see. Our private clients are not here to be everybody's next entertainment hour. We take that very seriously. When somebody calls me and says, I need help, the last thing they want to hear from me is, hey, can I put you on Amazon? So
yeah, right.
We some of our most compelling paranormal evidence people will never see, because they don't need to see it. It's none of their business. So, but we retain everything. We've well surpassed 10 terabytes of data stored.
Yep.
So,
Mr. Catfish is asking, do you guys investigate only spirits, or do you go into other realms as well, like UFOs?
We tend to stay out of the UFO stuff. It's,
not our lane of expertise.
Yeah, not our lane of expertise.
I do have an interest, though. I will sit down and watch UFO documentaries. All right, I firmly believe in UFOs. Okay.
Oh, we got aliens. We got aliens for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move over to Vinny's question. The gorgeous and talented Vinster is asking, have you ever come across scam artists, and should we look out for them? How do
we? Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. And I won't name names. but some of them, yes. If you are looking to hire a paranormal team to do an investigation of your home, make sure you do your research on them. And a great indicator of research is when you go to their website and there's busted links. Might be time to start looking for somebody else.
Do they have contact information?
Yeah.
More than email me at such and such.
That drives me nuts.
At AOL.com.
Yep. If you call, short of the fact that I have it on Do Not Disturb because we're doing an interview, if you go to our website right now and go to our contact page, there's an email, a phone number, ours, a contact form mailer. You call our work phone right now. Somebody here will answer it once this interview is over. We will answer it, Longhorn Paranormal. So yes, there definitely are. And there's a lot of people that carry a lot of liability. You get, I tell people all the time, you get what you pay for. People, first thing they ask me, how much is this going to cost me? And I say, let's not worry about the cost. Let's worry about getting you help. And then we'll figure that out later, right? If you want to make a donation to our team to help future private clients, it's great. And I do. I've had private clients who pay me $6-10 grand. All right. Then I have other private clients who go, I can't afford anything. And I go, well, fortunately, this last client paid me really well. And so, we got you covered. You definitely get what you pay for. And if you have as I refer to them, pop-up or cardboard box paranormal teams, be extremely cautious. You really want to look for people that have longevity in this industry and a knowledge base and an understanding of what they're actually doing. Look for your people who are actually on the radio interviews. That's a good indicator.
Don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
This is very true. Lynn is asking, can you speak about residual activity versus intelligent interactive activity?
I love this question. It's my favorite question. I challenge my interns on this all the time. You have no idea. I was hoping we'd get this question. All right, so on our merch store right now, we have a new t-shirt. It's called Rip D. All right. Four most common types of hauntings: residual, intelligent, poltergeist, demonic, right? So big difference between residual activity and intelligent haunting. Your residual. So every 4 years on the 4th of July at 10 a.m., there's a ghost train that moves through Dallas, Texas, because of the fact that in 1903 at 10 a.m., this train hit a float from a funeral parade or a 4th of July parade, right? That is your residual energy. Then you have your intelligent energies that can interact with you, respond to you. You say, can you knock 3 times? And they knock 3 times. There is a very big difference between those two categories. Your residual is something that's lingering. It's usually associated with an event, something traumatizing that's occurred. I see Merle shaking his head. Yes. So there's a big difference, right? And then you have your intelligent, which is here in the moment, here in the now. You can ask a question and you will get an intelligent response. You can ask it to do something and you'll get an intelligent action. These are two very different types of hauntings. One is kind of trapped in time. It's encapsulated in time. Another one is here and now in the moment.
Very cool. Very cool. We are down to 2.5 minutes on the show tonight. We say thank you for coming on in and hanging out with us and talking all this ghost stuff down in Texas, because that's always fun. That's always a good time. And, if we ever run into you and if people ever run into you, let's just remember, run the other way if you don't want to be around ghosts, because they have them. Do us a favor, Jen, and tell everybody where we can find your information, your videos, your movies, and get in touch with you.
Easiest way to find us is longhornparanormal.com. As we say, we're on all your devices. So we're on Roku, Amazon, Vimeo on demand, the Google Play Store, Apple Play Store. You can find us on your mobile phone and all your Google and Apple stores. You can find us on your laptop, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, MeWe, LO, Gab. If there's a social media platform, we are on it.
Amazon Fire Stick.
Yep, Amazon Fire Stick, Roku. You can find us on lpranch.com, longhornmerch.shop, longhornparanormal.com. We are literally everywhere. So we are not hard to find. You Google us. We're about the first 45, 50 links that come up.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. You guys are on top of it. And I think it's great. I like the direction you guys are taking. Normally, I try and shy away from paranormal, but I like the way that you guys are conducting it. Like it's a business, like it's you're doing something that you're supposed to be doing. and I think it's wonderful. Merle, you got the final say. You got 45 seconds.
It was a good show. I'm glad we reached out and did this. And if you are interested in watching Merle, you can find the Paranormal Road Trippers on Instagram. We now have a TikTok. We've popped our cherry for TikTok.
All right.
Yes.
And join the cult.
Yep.
Yep. And Facebook.
Don't forget your YouTube channel, Merle.
Oh, yeah. We got a YouTube channel, too. There's lots on there. I've been doing Paranormal Hot Seat interviews. I did one with Dave Schrader today. It was really good. I quite enjoyed talking to him. So when you're looking at my YouTube channel, go watch all of our hot seat videos. Brandon Elves, Mustafa Gadalari, David Schrader, Ross Allison. Got them all in there. It's fun.
Awesome.
And I give him airtime every month, and he doesn't even invite me yet. So
Dude,
thank you, Merle.
17
Thank
times.
you, Merle. Appreciate it for another edition
Censorship.
of Ghosts of the Great White North. Thank you to Longhorn Paranormal, Steve, Jen, Kim, and Jamie. What a great show. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Oh, this was so fun.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're still live, but Vinny said that she reads sign language very fast. She also relies on lip reading. I'm just here as kind of a support. So I just wanted to address that because I saw it. And not everyone just solely relies on one thing. They can rely on lip reading or closed captions. I don't know if she has the closed captions on, but there's a lot of different ways that they can watch and experience.
See,
That
people,
is awesome.
people are really excited about the interpreter, so that's pretty awesome.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah, they said Jamie's the
I can't
hardest
pick all
working
the words.
person.
But can you say the secret word of the day? Can you sign it? What was it, Dave?
Oh, God, I've already erased it.
Oh, there's like 3 different ones. That last one, she just went. Because I didn't understand what they said.
Jamie, where did you learn to sign?
I went to college for this, so I actually took a university degree for this.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
She has interns too.
Jamie is actually our communications director, and she has 3 interns that work for her currently, and then we just brought on a new marketing intern who is stepping up to be our assistant marketing director. Because we are growing so fast, we are getting so big. Kim initially filled the role of our marketing director, but she is not going to be doing that anymore. So we are now up to 8 or 10 interns across the brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many on your team?
This
Total?
Almost 20 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How do you keep the infighting? Because where I see it, the minute a team gets big, there's a lot of egos that kind of blow up.
you're looking at the core right here.
The 3 of us.
Kim, Steven, and I started this. We look at it as a business. We're in charge. We run it. And if you don't like it, go find a new job.
I like that, actually.
And then we give a percentage controlling interest to our directors. So, for example, Jamie, so when we're making administrative decisions, we look at it as a board meeting to make decisions on what we want to do. But ultimately, the deciding votes come down to the 3 of us.
And we don't always agree. And we'll sit there and have discussions,
Yeah.
in a couple days, a week, whatever it is, and which direction we're heading, and and that even comes down to private clients. So where are we doing this private client? Can we afford to do this private client? What resources do we need to allocate? And we have done. It's like, hey, you know what? You're up in Seattle. You know what,
Dave? Angel said bring them back.
Bring it back, please, Dave. Yes.
I'm really glad people enjoyed the show, man. People seem to be loving it. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good show.
I'm glad that we did a good job. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
If you
will
want,
be,
this will be in
up in-
podcast form and on YouTube in about an hour. So if you guys want to tack it to your website,
Oh,
great.
go right ahead. Go right
It's gonna
ahead.
go on our news page on our interviews. We're gonna put it with our other interviews, and then I will probably move it as front page news tomorrow, where we had it on our homepage before. We'll just, instead of having the interview coming up, we'll have the video.
Yeah.
For a while.
And one of the things that Jamie's interns are doing is closed captioning all of our content and even some of our older content. So that's one of the things Jenn wanted to have because, and I think it's great because even a lot of people, it's amazing how many people we go, yeah, I was watching this at work. It's like literally everyone will like turn the volume off and then close, and read the closed captioning and go, oh, this is the best thing ever. That is.
I have a dream to be the most accessible brand on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that if you're deaf, blind, MS, autism, I don't care what it is. We did last Halloween. We did a haunted event, and we did a haunted investigation event, and so we actually had a blind man out there investigating with us at this event.
And yes, Jenn did hand him a flashlight.
Yes,
And he told Jenn to turn on her radio.
Very cool. I've got 10 seconds before I got to go to the news. I will say goodnight to all of you. Thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. We had a blast. You guys take care, okay?
Awesome.
I'll link up
Bye, guys.
after COVID.
All right, here we go.
Ciao.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, the news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the official. Former President Barack Obama offered a blunt assessment of the videos of unidentified aerial phenomena that have continued to gain attention in the United States. What is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there is footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are, he said. Obama's comments add to the growing legitimacy of the reports of the unidentified phenomena and the government's awareness of them at high levels. Appearing on The Late Show with James Corden on CBS, Obama offered some levity on the question of aliens and his personal curiosity before assuming a more serious demeanor. We can't explain how they move, their trajectory, he said. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so I think that people still take it seriously, trying to investigate and figure out what it is. The U.S. Navy has for years confirmed the legitimacy of videos from jet fighters and tracked unidentified objects, some of which moved in ways that aeronautics experts have struggled to explain. Yes, this all leads up to the 60 Minutes interview. You know what I find interesting about this? I'm going to pose a little commentary here for a moment, if you don't mind. This is what I find interesting. Don't you remember when Obama was on Jimmy Kimmel a couple of years ago, about 2016? He was asked the UFO question. He denied it. Said, oh, no, there's nothing there. I did ask, but we found nothing. And now he's admitting to his own lie on James Corden, saying pretty much that he knew about it the entire time. Nobody's questioned the former president on this. I think it needs to be asked. What do you know, Mr. Obama? President Obama? What do you know? Why did you lie to the American public on national television about this subject? Why did you lie? Was it national security? Were you allowed to? I think the public needs the right to know. And the media has to ask that question. But they won't. No, they won't, because they're still very virgin to this topic. But he knew. Other presidents have known. And now he's talking about it, which I find very ironic, considering just a short time ago, President Obama, and you can go on YouTube and catch the footage where he denies knowing anything about the subject. It's amazing. The number of divorces recorded in China has fallen by more than 70% since the introduction of mandatory cooling off periods earlier this year. According to the statistics released by the country's Minister of Civil Affairs, 296,000 divorces were registered the first quarter of 2021 compared to 1.06 million in the final quarter of last year, a drop of 72%. There was a nearly 52% drop year on year from 612,000 in the first quarter of 2020. Under a new civil code, which came into force on January 1st, couples filing for divorce must wait 30 days after submitting their application, during which time either party can withdraw the petition. They must then apply again after the month is up in order for the marriage to be ended. The law, based on the local legislation already enforced in several parts of the country, was widely criticized as hampering personal freedoms. Oh, that's a joke right there. And potentially trapping people in unhappy or even violent marriages. But supporters in state media defended it as ensuring family stability and social order. Divorce has been steadily increasing in China over recent years, due in part to reduced social stigma and greater autonomy for women, with wives instigating more than 70% of the divorces, according to the All China Women's Federation. This has sparked alarm among policymakers. Oh my goodness, the women are actually going to have a say in China. The trend to coming as authorities encourage people to have more children in order to head off a potential demographic time bomb. You have 1.2 billion people. You're not short of people right now. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. Let's go like that. This is actually kind of sad. Darwin's Arch in the Galapagos Islands, considered one of the best places on the planet to dive and observe marine species, has collapsed, according to the Ministry of Environment for Ecuador. Although the ministry said the collapse of the 140-foot-high rock formation Monday was due to natural erosion, it casts a spotlight on a region that the United Nations has classified as one of the world's most vulnerable places to the effects of climate change. The tourist attraction and the nearby Darwin Island are named after the scientist Charles Darwin, whose study of species in the volcanic archipelago helped solidify his theory of evolution. But warming waters pose a great threat to the species that Darwin observed. The UNESCO World Heritage listed islands are at the intersection of 3 ocean currents and are vulnerable to El Niño weather systems, which cause rapid warming of Pacific Ocean waters. Another Pacific island, Easter Island, southeast of the Galapagos archipelago, known for its moai statues, is already facing threats of sea level rise, coastal inundation, and erosion as well. A man was bombarded with bizarre late-night calls and voicemails after his best friend literally pulled one of the greatest pranks ever. He put up a poster asking strangers to call his buddy to take part in a dinosaur roar contest. Yes, Russell Barnett and his colleague Mike Brandt have been playing practical jokes on one another since they first met all the way back in 1997. But Russell really pulled it out of the bag with his latest prank. The 47-year-old drew up 51 posters urging people to call Mike's number with their best impression of a dinosaur roar before putting them up around his hometown of Charleston in South Carolina. Within hours, Mike's phone was blowing up with people showing off their best roars. This is awesome. It wasn't long before Mike's voicemail was full, but the calls kept coming right through into the night, with some folks even attaching them as audio files to text messages. Russell said, when Mike sent me the first few texts confiding in me that something unusual was happening to him, I was literally laughing in tears. No kidding. I would be too. I am right now, just reading this. He didn't know that I was the cause. He didn't even know yet that he was being pranked. I was hoping for, at best, a half dozen calls. Then to provoke or to prove to me that his unusual story was true, he started sending me copies of the voicemails, and I just melted down. It was the funniest thing I've ever experienced. I was worried that no one would actually call, since nowadays people mostly text, and there are so many phishing sites trying to steal personal info. I do not know the exact count of voicemails, but it was enough to fill its capacity in 3 hours. After it had filled up, he purposely left it full in hopes it would stop. It did not. People kept calling his phone. Some started to text him audio entries. Another texted him a copy of the flyer, asking if they could still enter. When Mike saw the picture of the flyer, he finally understood what was happening. People were calling him all hours of the night, and he'd have to get his number changed. So he and I went out the next day, removed all the flyers I had pasted, and he is still getting a few calls here and there, but most have now stopped. I have two favorites. One was by someone named Ben, and the second is a girl who left no name and that we have named Laughosaurus or Wheezosaurus, as she couldn't stop laughing during the entire voicemail. Fortunately, Mike saw the funny side and even shared some of the better entries on social media. Mike said, typically, if I don't recognize the number, I'll let it go to voicemail. And so the first messages were just a roar and then someone hanging up, which I thought was odd. No kidding. He goes, I thought I'd maybe been hacked. The only way I found out I'd been hacked was when someone sent me a text asking if they could still enter the contest, even though my inbox was full. We had recently pranked another friend, joking we needed to store a coffin in his garage, but Russell has got a prank coming now. Well, that's just awesome. That's what friendship is all about. Fascinating or terrifying times are approaching in several United States. Why? Well, it depends how much you like bugs. Brood X cicadas are about to emerge from the ground. Like we need more cicadas this year. Well, they're coming. In case you don't know what we're talking about, Brood X is a brood of periodical cicadas in America. These bugs spent 17 years underground as nymphs before they emerge as adults to mate. There are a total of 15 cicada broods in eastern U.S. Out of all of them, Brood X is by far the largest. That means that billions upon billions of cicadas are about to take flight and blacken the skies. But what these insects don't realize is that their butts, yes, as they call themselves, are in mortal danger. Allow us to introduce Massospora cicinata. Yes, it's a funky little fungus that the parasites really invade the cicadas with gruesome results. Namely, their butts fall off, and then the fungus replaces it with its own fungal ass. Yes, I'm actually being serious here. Yeah. So the Massospora infection in a cicada begins innocently enough. The spores make their way into the cicada's body either through food or air. The horror then begins soon after. The fungus starts eating away at the cicada's insides, munching on its tissues until the abdomen cracks. That's when the hiney falls off. This is the fungus's golden opportunity to create its own ass. It grows a white chunk of spores, deposits it in place of the missing back end. Don't feel too sorry for the cicada, though. It hasn't even noticed that his butt's fallen off and that any of this has happened. You see, the Massospora produces the same chemical that magic mushrooms do, so really the cicadas are pretty high on psilocybin. And in humans, psilocybin, causes a distorted sense of time, reality, hallucinations that their ass may have fallen off, and intense sense of unity with the universe. So they're finding their zen and their chi while the fungus is creating a new behind. So you can imagine how this is going. Apparently, they can still go to the bathroom with all of this ass replacement. Kim Kardashian is now trying to make money off of this. Just saying. An Illinois man named Angel, he's not so much of an angel. No, not Angel. He may want to invent and invest in a forehead wig with bangs. Why? Because he's got the tattoo of FU spelled out properly on his forehead. Yeah, Angel Shinetti was arrested, headed to court, and his mugshot shows this lovely place tattoo inked on his forehead. Found himself in front of a judge to face burglary charges. The 45-year-old man was set to appear before a judge in the Chicago suburb of Wheaton. According to reports, Schettini, or Shinetti, whatever his name is, doesn't really matter. He's got FU on his forehead, who also goes by the name of Alejandro Lopez, has appeared in police photos that date back to 2003, sporting the same tattoo on his forehead. You would wonder, if you're this guy, you've been arrested a number of times, I wonder how these people are finding you. I just have no idea how they're finding you. I really don't. But it's the way it goes sometimes. And I guess a bad place tattoo and a badly worded tattoo can just mean bad business with the police. Well, instead of Roadrunner versus Coyote, up in Vancouver, it was House Cat versus Coyote. A coyote learned the hard way that you don't mess with a stray cat in the mean streets of Vancouver. Yes, Port Moody police showed how a coyote sparked a brief turf war with a neighborhood scrappy cat in a parking lot. In the 7-second clip that was shown on Twitter, the coyote is seen walking cautiously towards a parked car before this black cat pounces from under it, charging at the bigger animal and chasing it around the vehicle and past the parking lot fence. Port Moody police captured the clip. The things our patrol officers see at 4 a.m. Cat 1, Coyote 0. Many Twitter users praised the fearless feline, with one joking, Canine Cat gave chase to Wile E. Coyote and ran into Acme Lane before Cat pounced on suspect. One Vancouver police officer even chimed in, asking if his department could borrow the cat. The comment could be a reference to 2 coyote attacks that happened in Stanley Park last week. Though most reacted to the video with a chuckle, some were concerned for the cat's welfare. Okay, one person pointed out that since coyotes hunt in a pack, the wild animal may have been trying to lure the cat into an ambush. Thankfully, that's not the case, Port Moody police responded. We followed the lone coyote out of the area, and the same cat was seen doing its rounds in the parking lot again early in the morning. Here's an interesting one. A worker at an Oregon construction site discovered a 2,000-pound rare rock believed to have arrived in the state on a glacier 15,000 years ago. Jacob Parker said he was working on at the site of the new Lake Ridge Middle School in Lake Oswego when an unusual rock excavated by the crew caught his eye. Parker used a rock identifying app that warned him that he might be finding a rock that is radioactive. So he called in Scott Burns, a geologist from Portland State University. Burns said the stone wasn't radioactive, but is an extremely rare rock known as rhyolite. Rhyolite is created by layers of cooling off lava close to the Earth's surface. Only one other piece of rhyolite has been discovered in Oregon previously. Basically, it's a very rare rock, Burns said. The Tualatin Heritage Center, which took the rock for display as part of its Ice Age flood exhibit, said the rock likely formed in Montana or Canada and came to Oregon as part of a glacier during the Missoula flood about 15,000 years ago. We believe it is an ice-rafted glacial erratic, Burns said. That is, it fell onto the glaciers up in British Columbia, Alberta, or Montana, and then was part of the dam that blew apart in the Missoula floods, and it floated down here before it found its resting place. And finally tonight, a bus driver in Missouri was able to help reunite a makeup bag containing hundreds of dollars with the woman who accidentally left it aboard the vehicle. Andrea Ragland, who drives Ride KC bus for the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, said she was cleaning up her bus when she found a makeup bag that nearly ended up being thrown out into the trash. I was just going to throw it away, and I said, oh, this is heavy. I didn't count it at first, but I saw a couple of $100 bills, and I just put it back in the bag. Raglan enlisted the help of dispatch supervisor Erica Porter to help return the bag to its owner. I said, I'm not putting this in lost and found. I'm not doing that. We're going to find this lady, and we're going to give her her money back. An emergency medical contact card inside the bag gave them the owner's name, Faye Moss, and within hours, they were able to track down the woman's address. Road supervisor Ken Lewis located Moss walking near her home and brought her to Ride KC headquarters to claim her property. The 76-year-old Moss said she uses the wallet as a bag, and the cash inside had been intended for her mortgage payment. I didn't want to tell anybody because everybody's on me about my memory. I'm getting to the point where I don't remember things anymore, Moss said. Moss said she is grateful to the employees for putting out so much effort in returning her bag. There's still some good folks in the world out there. Yes, there are, especially this great bus driver from Kansas City. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Where did it go here? Oh, yes. There it is. If you could go on a paranormal investigation with Merle, where would you take him and why? Haunted History BC. Manresa Castle in Port Townsend, Washington, because haunted castle. Oh, yeah. 13 Ballads. In a mini submarine to explore the depths off the cliff where Beowulf's men appeared or had apparently pushed a dead fire drake into the waters below. Yeah, let's go to Jer. Let's get Marion Rudnick on the show. That has nothing to do with Merle. And Megas wants to take Merle down to Skinwalker Ranch to see what's going on down there. That's a good call. I don't know if Merle would like it down there, though. Yeah, he's not that kind of guy. Amanda, to his workplace so I could see the puppies. Final answer. Davy, I would take him to investigate the ghost of the Gray Lady at East Riddleston Hall, just to hear him say East Riddleston Hall. Olaf Phillips has the final word on this one. Any investigation with Merle, which includes a barbecue. That's why Olaf wears a lot of plaid. Good friend of this show, Olaf Phillips. Wears a lot of plaid because he really knows how to barbecue. That is for sure. I bet you he has one heck of a good apron. I know Merle does. Merle loves a good apron when he's cooking on the barbecue. That is for sure. If I were to take Merle anywhere, I would take him someplace he hates. I'd take him to Area 51. Try and find the ghosts of all those dead aliens that are lying around the deserts of Nevada, all because they had no place to put them. And remember, aliens don't exist, so you can just throw them out with the daily garbage. Why not? Why not? Thank you to Captain Shirk for the Thought of the Dave, or make that the Newswire. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave on Twitter and on Facebook. And to Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers. And, of course, Longhorn Paranormal, Steve, Jen, Kim, and Jamie for hanging out with us, talking ghosts all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat room tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and Derek and the Snarkettes dancing away on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, just make sure it's Vinny. He'll ride with you, even hold your hand. Good night. That's a good show. Real good show. Magnus, thank you again for another wonderful super chat, man. Appreciate that. Oh. I was so hungry. I apologize for eating the beef jerky, but I got so hungry there. I really did. Hey, Super Quest, how you doing? Thurston Howell III, nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you. Who else came in late here that I haven't said hello to? Lunar Tina, how are you? Longhorn Paranormal. Thank you guys for coming on. You guys are awesome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button there, Longhorn. I haven't had a Snickers bar in like 2 years. I'm losing weight, though. It's the main thing. Merle! There's Merle. Merle! Merle. Merle comes in for the one hits. You know? Just comes in, boom, hit, gone, bye. All right. Thank you so much. Be like Longhorn Paranormal. Subscribe to this channel if you don't mind. I'll do that for you, Merle. Let me go in here and do that for you. I think I do that. Where do I do that? Here. There we go, Merle. You're up there now. I did it for you, Merle. I did it for you. I think it's saved. I need to save that. Publish. There we go. I'm going to change that. We'll upload the new photo right there. There we go. Publish. That's kind of awesome. There we go. Now we're looking good. All right, let's move this over. Don't need that anymore. How you doing there, Kurt Seltzer with a splash of lime? You know, Bomber, true story. I went in to see my t-shirt lady last week, asking her where the t-shirts were that I gave away. She still hadn't made them. She forgot to order the t-shirts for them to be printed on. You know how fucking mad I was? Seriously. Pissed off. I feel bad about that. Because that totally reflects on me. Totally reflects on me. I don't like shit like that reflecting on me. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. Don't worry. We are developing a whole new t-shirt line and everything, including MERLE t-shirts. For the new store on the new website. And we're going to make sure it works properly. I'm getting really pissed off. Not going to be any more Teespring, no more Sherry Shirt Shack. Thanks, Kirk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm hungry. I did, Bomber. I literally said, like, what the fuck, dude? I want a Gringo Beans t-shirt. That's what I want. I want a Gringo Beans t-shirt. No burritos. No burritos. Thanks, Rye Guy. T-shirt better have like Mexican jumping beans on it. I'm an XL. Hurry up and get the store going, boys. Gringo Beans, man. That's where it's at. Magnus, thank you again. That's 3 times tonight, man. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Amazing. We're glad we could help you out with your bad day, Magnus. Come back again. We will definitely be here for you. We like being here for our fans, man. Love it. We want some gringo beans, man. No, nope. That guitar is my first ever guitar. Okay, where do we start the show here? There, I bet. Hold on. Oh, I'm way off. Wow. Try that. Malzite to you, Chris Mo. Really? I did it again. Son of a wife. Really? Again? What the hell? Finally. My favorite strongman now is Eddie Hill. Him and Brian Shaw. You ever watch their YouTube channels? It's goddamn hilarious. Hey, John Hudson, I didn't see your question, man. I apologize. I did not see your question. Hey, Olin, how you doing? Totally, Kirk. I saw that. Eddie Hall is a beast. No pun intended, because he calls himself the Beast. No way. Eddie Hall is nuts. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, you totally should. He's hilarious. No idea how his wife puts up with him. My last piece. Damn right you headbutt for your finishing move, Fap. Nobody can beat that. Good night, Carol Burke. Oh, wow. Steam Train Mark just sent me pictures from Australia of kangaroos jumping in his backyard. That is awesome. These are taking this afternoon, his time around 3 o'clock. That is awesome, Mark. I love it. Very true, Owen. Oh, Mark, that's awesome. Damn kangaroos. You imagine having kangaroos in your backyard? That'd be cool. Got my Tums right here, man. Always got Tums right by you. Ooh. This is the last piece here. Hey, Monondak, how you doing, buddy? Oh, my teeth and jaw are killing me right now. I feel like I just worked out. That is cool. Watching the video of the kangaroos in Mark's yard. It's like 20 of them. It's crazy. That is just awesome. Oh, God. You guys are making me laugh. You guys are making me laugh. Take him out at Bomber. Take him out at the knees like Tanya Harding. Holy cow. That's just getting vicious when you Harding someone. Why? Nancy Kerrigan was annoying. Why? Why? Why me? Why? Why? That's a good question. What is Tanya Harding up to now? What is okay? Wow, a lot of weirdness there. Anyways, didn't Nancy Kerrigan have just giant teeth? She had massive teeth. Just saying. Massive teeth. Nancy Kerrigan teeth. Look at those. I bet you she could rip an apple apart like nothing. Seriously. Just saying. Those are big teeth. How old is Nancy Kerrigan now? Find out. Geez, she's 51. Exactly, Olin. It wasn't a hard-ass candy bar. That was beef jerky, man. Absolutely demolished my jaw, but that's okay. Hey, Iron Dogger, welcome back. Good you're awake. It's all good. That one's done. That one's done. I'm tired. I am tired. And on that note, I'm going to head off to bed. Tomorrow night on the show, let me grab it for you here. It will be Corey Daniel with the Phoenix Enigma. So we're going to get into some ancient stuff tomorrow night. It's going to be a good show. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. A big thank you to all of our live listeners tonight. A big thank you to all the veterans who listen to this show, all of our new subscribers, and for the super chats, Magnus ×3, Fast Hemi, Nicole, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Sinister, Catfish, Jason, Ben, Fapster, and Mondak. Really do appreciate all of you coming on in. We love you here, and we're going to do it right again tomorrow night. So make sure you tune us on in, and we will rock and roll tomorrow night. And much love to each and every one of you. Have a great night. Take care, everyone.